Oh, you still trading on a free app? Damn, that's cute. Yeah. Out here flexing on some paper gains like that's loot. You ain't got it. I pull 6 figs before I'm even out of bed. What you got? Your bag holding options that are damn near dead. You see me rolling in the Benz, you wonder how. While you selling your soul for a couple hundred now. I'm stacking chips, flipping options like it's a game. Too easy. You're out here chasing dreams, man, you're lame. I see you panic selling, stressing, praying for a bounce. Desperate. Meanwhile, I just shorted and I'm stacking big amounts. You're refreshing your screen, wiping sweat off your face. Good. I just bought another watch just to fuck with my pace. You're broke, I'm up, we ain't the same. Yeah, you know it. You trade for survival, I trade for the game. What's that? You flexing 100, that's minimum wage. Shit, for real. I just made your whole salary, now back to my trades. Get that money, stack it high, don't play. Yeah, run it. I'll make more in a minute than you make in a day. Flipping stocks while you're stuck in your grind. I'm out here balling, you just falling behind. Watch me rise, you just sit and complain. Watch me, I'm in the fast lane, you're stuck in the rain. I'm cashing in moves while you're out here just waiting. Still waiting, get your money right, or keep on just hating. Oh, you bought some calls, man, that's cute, you're still a rookie. Yeah, you know I'm out here making 6 figs while you acting all looky. You chasing that pump, thinking you're on top. You ain't fooling no way. But I'm shorting your whole portfolio, watch it drop. You tryna flip pennies, but your game is weak. Weak as hell. I make moves that make your whole account look bleak. So sad. You out here acting like you know the game, looking lost, but you're buying at the top, looking lame. Keep watching, I'm breaking records, stacking fast. You're stuck holding bags while I'm living life fast. You buy at the peak, now you crying for a dip. Meanwhile I'm stacking bags while I sip on my 5th. You thought you had a strategy, thought you had a plan, but you just a kid, I'm the grown man. I'm blowing up the market, you're just another clown. While you fighting for crumbs, I'm breaking it down. You're broke, I'm up, we ain't the same. Yeah. You trade for survival, I trade for the game. What's up? You flexing 100, that's minimum wage. For bro, I just made your whole salary, now back to my trades. Get that money, stack it high, don't play. Yeah, run it. I'll make more in a minute than you make in a day. Flipping stocks while you're stuck in your grind. I'm out here balling, you just falling behind. Watch me rise, you just sit and complain. Watch me, I'm in the fast lane, you're stuck in the rain. I'm cashing in moves while you're out here just waiting. Still waiting, get your money right, or keep on just hating.
Oh brother, oh brother, oh brother. Welcome back to another episode of the Matt Kohrs Show, where I'm Matt, your Kohrs, and together we are the show. It is a beautiful Thursday, January the 23rd, and we're going to see what we can do in the world's largest casino today. Now, yesterday, pretty good day. I made money. A lot of the Discord made money. I think a lot of those of you in chat right now made money. It was a nice day as the SPX, the actual S&P 500, pushed to new all-time highs, obviously off of the back and really the excitement and the enthusiasm from President Trump's Project Stargate, or is it Stargate Project? I think it's Project Stargate. I think they should call it Mission Stargate. I don't know what it is, but right now, just basically the announcement that there's a $500 billion investment in AI infrastructure over the next 5 years, with the first year starting at $100 billion, really being led by Qualcomm, Microsoft / OpenAI, a little bit of Masa over there at SoftBank. And it did prompt quite a bit of drama between Sam Altman of OpenAI and Elon Musk. And I think what we're seeing is, I guess on a relative basis, it almost seems like Mark Zuckerberg's change of heart from basically doing what the entire Biden administration wanted him to do. And then he kind of flipped and said, nope, not doing it anymore. Obviously, a little bit more support of like free speech and really direct support of Trump. It's actually making that move on Zuckerberg's part seem a lot more genuine, because a lot of stuff this morning, late last night, is coming up about Sam Altman, where he is now buddies as of a day ago with Trump, and OpenAI really going to benefit off of this. But before that, literally up until like a week ago, Sam Altman was talking some major crap on Trump. He was directly funding sources anti-Trump. So this whole thing of, and I'm not saying Zuckerberg was like just doing this out of the goodness of his heart and humanity. I think he kind of read the cultural tides were changing and he basically bet on the right horse, but he at least did it early. I mean, Sam Altman as a week ago, it was not, I don't know. Like, I think this whole craziness right now of Sam Altman going from hating Trump, funding sources going against Trump, and then basically Trump's like, well, hang on, like, you want to be in on this? Oh, he's like, dude, I love you this entire time. This crazy change, honestly, I think it's going to be a massive benefit to the personal, cultural persona interpretation of Zuckerberg, just because on a relative basis, it does honestly make Zuckerberg's switch seem way more genuine, way more genuine. There's politics and then there's business. Yeah, it's funny how sometimes the business is so big that it causes people to completely switch their politics. Find it a little bit interesting. Obviously, we'll get into it today. I did cover it in the update video yesterday on the initial announcement of how completely angry Elon got. And at first, it seemed a little bit petty. It really did. And now that more is coming out, I got to kind of put my hand up here and say, I think there was more to the story that like I just was unaware of. So I'll make sure to once again cover that in today's update video, because at first it did seem like it was a little cringeworthy. It was a little petty seeming at first on Elon's point. At least that's how it came off to me on the initial comments. But as people are doing a bit more of a deep dive, as more information is coming out, unlike mainstream media, I'm going to let you know where, okay, there's more to the story. I got to cover it. We got to talk about it, because as more information comes in, like trading, you got to update what's going on. So I do believe that there's way more to Elon's initial commentary, where at first he just seemed to be almost angry that he was being left out. And he's like, hey, I'm the tech genius that's buddies with Trump. No one else is. But now that we're coming out, it almost seems like Elon had a good reason to get mad, because part of the people he were fighting against, i.e. Sam Altman, is now apparently boys with Trump. So the whole thing's a little bit crazy. So we're going to be getting into that. But before that, I do have an update on kind of what happened overnight in the markets. I want to talk about what happened in LA overnight. Unfortunately, the fires are picking back up. We have a bit of an overall economy discussion, because we have to talk about really setting up for next week. We did get initial jobless claims this morning. I have some individual equity news, one on a piece of mainstream media that I think you're all going to find a bit surprising. And then at 11 a.m. today, 11 a.m., an hour and a half into the market trading session, I believe Trump is going to be doing a speech. So we should probably be listening to that as well. So that's going to be coming out at, once again, 11 a.m. ET. So we have a lot to get into. We're going to be talking about options, the economy, individual stock opportunities, the breaking news. We're going to be doing some live trading. Lots to get into. If you haven't already, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. With that being said, let's get rocking. Stock futures are little changed, with S&P 500 on a 3-day winning streak. Well, that's not completely true, Mr. Intern at this CNBC desk. They slipped. Yeah, they were down a little bit more. If you look at the SPY, around 4 in the morning, things were not so bueno. The S&P 500 is attempting to bounce back up to its closing value from yesterday, but obviously you can see clear weakness in the tech sector this morning. What had happened was basically around noon, around 1, we saw a lot of major tech names sell off. And I do want to show you that some have particular weakness, some have particular My apologies. Like I said, I refuse to take allergy pills anymore. I'm just going to beat it out of my body. I don't know if it's necessarily medically sound to just say, hey, body, toughen up. But we're going to see. I'm going to do a little bit of a science experiment with myself. But anyway, my apologies. We will be getting into individual equities where we see unique strength and unique weakness. Just for those of you who maybe are bullishly biased or bearishly biased, obviously there's going to be extra opportunity for you there. Looking at the S&P 500, yes, in the overnight session, really going all the way down till 4 a.m. From there, a little bit of a bounce, the S&P 500 trying to pick back up, but things were pretty rough right before we all were getting up. There were not clearly, you could really see it in the 30-minute chart here on the NASDAQ. It is bouncing less, like just evidently less. Look at this. S&P 500 getting a nice push to the upside. NASDAQ, a slight jump, and then just sideways. But anyway, the 5-minute is indecisive, 10 minutes bearish, 30 minutes bearish. But then if you look at the S&P 500, 5-minute and 10-minute are bullish, and even the 30-minute is now attempting to go bullish. So once again, You guys know this. If you've been here at all, you know when the market gets open and gets going, I hate to trade environments that the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100 are doing completely different things. And thus far this morning, they are showing that tendency. So maybe it's going to switch as soon as the market actually opens. But as of right now, my biggest worry on today specifically is once again just the complete mixed up, messed up situation of the S&P 500 behaving completely different than the NASDAQ 100. And then we see all the wonkiness in the options market. And it just generally creates a whipsaw environment where if you make money, congrats, you're getting lucky, but not necessarily conducive to those nice, solid A-plus setups. So just wanted to let you know where we are right now. In terms of just U.S. news, new wildfire nears L.A. explodes to almost 10,000 acres, forces evacuation. So with the winds, it is picking up again. It seems like this time around, they might have a bit of a better game plan. Firefighters gained some control over the new fire north of L.A. They're containing it, which I know it's only 14% contained, but you have to remember over the past couple of weeks when these fires have been absolutely raging, engulfing tens of thousands of acres, they were completely 0% contained. So this is not good news, but it does seem like ideally we're trending in the right direction. So obviously, if you're directly being impacted, your friends, your families, my heart goes out to you. This is absolutely disastrous, and this is what happens when you don't have water in the reservoirs. But more on that, I suppose, after they take care of the situation. But it is by all definition heartbreaking. Bringing it over to the economy. Davos 2025 live updates. Remember, the bigwigs, all the rich and powerful people of the world go to Davos and they talk about how they become more rich and powerful. Well, apparently Trump is set to address the World Economic Forum today, once again, 11 a.m. ET, an hour and a half, 90 minutes into the trading session. Germany's finance minister calls for a debt brake reform. Not as exciting, but I just want to let you know that this whole event is going on. Relative to previous years, there's a lot less attendance. There's a lot less people caring about what's actually happening in Davos. So I just want to compare that because I don't know. There's all these weird stories of how the hotels were like, dude, we have a lot of open rooms, and the stories go more and more from there. But for whatever reason, well, for good reason, I think the normal population is starting to give less of a platform to these rich and powerful, taking away some of their wealth and power. But anyway, Trump set to address the World Economic Forum. If I had to guess right now, I think it's going to be an exciting thing to watch because I think he's going to just completely roast them. So I think that's going to be exciting. With that, though, BlackRock, Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, obviously, what was it, 11, 12 trillion dollars in assets under management. This guy's by all definitions, a tycoon. He was speaking this morning, and I thought he had some interesting points. Just really some talked about Stargate project here, talked about really how he's optimistic for the market and the economy in the short term, similar to Stanley Druckenmiller, where we listened to his clip, what was it, either yesterday or 2 days ago. But when a dude who is managing 11 trillion, I'm not saying million, I'm not saying billion, I am saying $1 trillion, probably worthwhile to listen to what he has to say.
A different question, which is, we talked a little bit when I saw you last week about the markets.
Yeah.
Jamie Dimon was here yesterday, and he was not pessimistic, but he was, as he would say, cautiously pessimistic insofar as he believes that stuff is relatively priced for perfection right now. Does that feel right to you?
So I'm cautiously optimistic.
Okay.
That being said, I have scenarios where it could be pretty bad. I believe if we could unlock all this private capital, we're going to have enormous growth. At the same time, some of this is going to create new inflationary pressures.
Right.
And I do believe that's probably the risk that is not factored into the markets. I think the bond market is going to tell us where we're going. And I've been saying now for some time, I may have said it last week, there's a probability we could see the 10-year over 5%, maybe even 5.5%. That would shock the equity market. That would not be a good scenario.
Do you think that would be a temporary scenario insofar as the bond market says effectively to the U.S. government, we're not doing it this way, folks. And then you'd see
a
the
pivot.
Trump administration pivot, and then the equity market would shift again?
I think it would start.
The 10 years getting so high. It
would start a conversation that we need in our country, and that is, how are we going to bring down our deficits? The positive side of what the Trump administration is doing, they are trying to find growth from the private sector.
Right.
So depending on how that all plays out and how quickly the private sector can effectively put capital in the ground and start building. That's one side. At the other side of it, there are some very large inflationary pressures that we all have to be aware of. And depending on how this plays out, there is a scenario where we're going to have much more elevated interest rates because of inflation. And that's going to have a very negative impact on the equity market. It's going to change, it's going to force a revaluation, but it will probably create a real conversation. What are we going to do about the deficits?
Becky's got a question back in New York. Becky?
Becky, back in New York.
Hey, Larry. Happy New Year. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I'd like to hear a little bit more about this. That's not your base case, I assume, this higher inflationary situation and higher interest rates. What do you think the Fed does? First of all, how likely of a scenario
This dude is worth $1.3 billion.
And second of all, what do you think
72
the Fed
years
does? 'Cause
old.
We've got another FOMC meeting next week. You think they're going to be sidelined for a while, just waiting to see what the impact of the new administration's policies are? Or how do you kind of figure this out from the market perspective?
Well, I don't think the Federal Reserve spends any time focusing on what policy issues are going to be affecting the future. I think they're going to be focusing on the data at the moment. And the data at the moment is fine. Whether
Inflation is coming
down
down slightly.
or pause, I do not see any scenario in the short run that the Federal Reserve is going to reverse course. And my base case scenario is we're going to have rates staying stickier. And what I mean by that is we're going to have probably a more normalized yield curve. The yield curve is going to become steeper and steeper. So I can see a scenario of the Federal Reserve easing shortly. But at the same time, I think the 10-year is going to be locked in this zone where it's been trading right now. And we'll see how this plays out. In all my scenarios, too, by the way, the yield curve is going to get steeper, not flatter. Remember, we've been living in a world where the yield curve has been inverted for so long, which harms, savers, benefits capital because the long rates were at lower rates. If we have a normalized yield curve, borrowers, savers are not going to get that benefit, but borrowers are going to get more harmed. So it has all these implications in our society.
The yield curve at the last second that he was referring to here. Let me just recap some of this. So here's a look at the 20-year bond ETF. So clearly bonds are going down. They've been going down ever since mid-September. Puked, little bit of recovery. People were saying, okay, is this going to be it? Nope, puked again. We're getting a little bit of recovery, but bonds are going down and down and down. And then the inverse of that, when bond prices are going down, yields are going up. And the one that Fink was just really referring to is the 10-year. A lot of people are talking about what happens if the 10-year shoots up to 5%. Recently, we peaked at 4.8. Remember, yields and bond prices move inverse. They move the opposite of each other. And granted, I was showing you the 20-year bond, and now I'm showing you the 10-year yield. But a lot of people talking about this yield, and if it goes up and up and up, it kind of gives you an idea of where the policymakers' minds might be at. And the final thing he referred to was the yield curve. The actual computation of the yield curve is taking the 2-year yield away from the 10-year. 10-year yield minus the 2-year. And when we're inverted, that means we're below zero. And it's generally never good coming out of that. And as you can tell, that's what we're doing right now. We were in the negative territory in June of 2024. We shot up, got positive in September. And then we came down and people were saying, uh-oh, are we going to go negative again? Because sometimes historically there are fake outs, but clearly we got a bounce from that moment. Now, as we're getting this bounce, this is referred to as bullish steepening. And the concern here in the short to medium term is on a historic basis. When there's aggressive bullish steepening in the yield curve, it is highly correlated with unemployment going up. There's a high correlation between the yield curve and that direction, that shooting up, high correlation between that and the labor market. And unfortunately, it's not the thing you want. Now, it's one thing if unemployment goes up and a small amount. Of course, you never want it to explode up to like 15% or something like that. But if it goes up and that is another thing, assisting inflation going down and down and down. Remember, that's what the Fed's trying to do right now. Jerome Powell is trying to get inflation back down to 2%. And granted, we're trending down, but we're still about 50% too high. We're clocking in around 3%. So this is all kind of boring stuff. I don't think really many active retail traders get the most excited about monetary policy and what's happening in the treasury markets and that type of thing, fixed income. But it is massively important because as we're starting to track these moves, you get a better understanding of, okay, what's influencing the dollar? What is influencing, well, and I'm bringing this up right here. Let me show you what's happening with the yen right now. Once again, we're seeing some weakness here in the JPY USD pairing. So that's dropping. Like, you could look at it this way as well. This is actually probably most of the time how it's shown. So Japan, they're making interest rate decisions. The point with all of this is, I know it's boring. I know it's not the most exciting thing to pay attention to, but the influence on the overall market when you're YOLOing your zero DT calls or your puts or you're swinging something, it cannot be understated. This is what's moving it. So I get that it's boring, but you got to understand those outside influences. Speaking of outside influences, we did get the initial jobless claims report this morning, pretty much as expected. They were expecting 221, came in at 223. Like I said, President Trump is slated to be speaking at 11 a.m. ET today. And then on Friday, tomorrow, to wrap up the week, we're going to get some global numbers, manufacturing and services, PMI, and existing home sales. From a macroeconomic standpoint, there's no big data drops this week. The big drops have been more so of what in the world is Trump saying or not saying, and that's going to be continuing today. A record number of consumers are making minimum credit card payments as delinquencies also rise. So I get that the market's good. I mean, the S&P 500 index at 1210 yesterday hit a new all-time high. But remember, the economy and the stock market aren't always the exact same thing. And right now, actually, for a decent amount of time, we've been seeing this big discrepancy where I think we could all admit the economy has some clear fractures in the underlying foundation, and yet the stock market literally hit a new all-time high. A record number of consumers are making minimum credit card payments. That's not good. Delinquencies on the rise. Not so good. The share of active credit card holders just making minimum payments rose to almost 11%, the highest ever going back to 2012. That's not a record you want to be breaking, folks. The share of credit card holders with more than 30 days past due rose to 3.52, an increase from 3.21 for a gain of more than 10%. Even with the rising delinquency rate, it's still below the 6.8% peak during the 08-09 financial crisis. So we're breaking one record and the other one we're not breaking. So that's a little bit of a sigh of relief, but obviously something to pay attention to. Moving on to individual companies, Oracle takes run at Cloud's big three with Trump-backed AI pack. So when we're talking about AI, Oracle is kind of in the conversation, but let's admit it really hasn't been. When we're talking about it, everyone's getting jacked up about really what's happening with NVIDIA. There's some AMD discussion. Once in a while, there was some SMCI discussion. So not really much of Micron. Some people were watching the ETF. But think about even when we talk about semiconductors, really, it was NVIDIA, and then because of OpenAI, maybe a little bit more of Microsoft, no one was talking about Oracle. But this move from Larry Ellison and really the official partnership with Stargate Project and Trump, it has, Oracle, it's going to put it on the main stage. So this is one that I feel like even myself, I haven't really been tracking. We don't really actively trade it. We don't really actively talk about it. But depending on how this really breaks and if there's a good just traction here, Oracle might be a major tech play that we check on a daily basis. Share soared on the venture, building on last year's big gain. Trump says he's open to Ellison buying TikTok with a U.S. stake. So not only a potential AI pump, but what if Oracle becomes now an AI social media play, getting into the world of into the world of AI and also the social media TikTok play. And they have the money to do it. So I just want to call this out here because who knows? 2025 might shape up to be the year of Oracle. OpenAI Stargate deal heralds shift away from Microsoft. And the TLDR here is OpenAI requires so much incredible compute power that Microsoft is basically saying, we can't offer it. We just don't have the resources right now. So obviously they're building out as fast as they possibly can. But the the open AI business and all the cloud, I guess, and infrastructure that they need, Microsoft has given them the go-ahead, because remember, Microsoft has a huge equity investment in OpenAI. They've given them the go-ahead to go to other competitors, which is going to be good for them because they're going to just be able to get more revenue. But it is crazy to see how vast OpenAI is. The fact that right now in real time, Microsoft cannot scale to the AI infrastructure that it needs at this moment. So this could be crazy. A little bit later, I will follow up on some of the just insanity that we're seeing with the whole drama here, like just to give you a little bit of a taste of it. People change, but all we need to know that the project was from Trump's new best buddy and AI overlord. Back to work tomorrow, a new project to stop Trump. So that was in 2016, and people are just going down the timeline of Sam Altman, realizing that he is now bending the knee, but before this, he was clearly against him. Watching POTUS more carefully recently has really changed my perspective on him. I wish I had done more of my own thinking and definitely fell into an NPC trap. I'm not going to agree with him on everything, but I think he will be incredible for the country in many ways. It's funny how quickly you can turn when you're getting a couple $1 billion. How much is this one? Or what is this one? How much money, Sam? What were these secret projects? Few have done more than Sam Altman to defeat Trump. Once again, this is 2016. I've spent all my free time and done less work than I should have on various projects and a lot of money. I don't talk about it much because I generally think it's bad for the head of an org like YC to be a political activist, but I probably will after the election. And once again, people are just, he was funding this. OpenAI to fund 4 new Axios local newsrooms. This is from 2025, January 15th. And this is where he gets his money. Back to work tomorrow is a new project to stop Trump. This just goes on and on and on. If you want to read any of this, and a lot of it is directly connected to Reid Hoffman. Very few people realize just how much Reid Hoffman did and spent to stop Trump from getting reelected. It seems reasonably likely to me that Trump will still be in office without the efforts. Thank you, Reid. So that was in 2021. And if you bring up Twitter today, you're going to see this. This is all over the place. Sam Altman and OpenAI are funding Axios, which pushes against Trump and anti-American propaganda. And I feel like in the short term, Elon Musk probably feels a little bit vindicated from this, because yesterday, Elon Musk had a little bit of a weird run there. So obviously, after all of the inauguration celebrations, there was the whole my heart goes out to you, and they did the freeze frame, and they're like, look at it, it's a Nazi salute. And that was a whole crazy thing. And then that led into a lot of people calling him petty, because right after Sam Altman and specifically OpenAI tweeted out Stargate Project. Is it Project Stargate or Stargate Project? What's the actual name? I'm confused because when I read it, it is announced as Stargate Project, but why do we have, it's never like that. Like, that doesn't even make sense to call it. It should be Project Stargate. That's how we title these types of things. So whatever the hell the name of this is, we'll just call it Stargate. I don't know if Project comes first or after, and at this point, I honestly don't care, and it just keeps messing me up. But as Stargate was announced from the OpenAI Twitter, Elon followed up on it. It was in my drama-based video yesterday where Elon was clearly pissed, and it wasn't such a good look for him. But 12 hours later, as people are continuing to call out Sam Altman, it does seem like Sam Altman basically gave up all of his political views and his past statements literally just to get the money from Trump. So just wanted to call that out there. And also from, I guess, a business perspective, it looks like OpenAI is becoming so big that they're going to have to go outside the world of Microsoft to get the infrastructure they need. Google agrees to a new $1 billion investment in Anthropic. This is just another AI play. Google throwing its money in there, getting involved. This is all the race of AI. CNN to lay off hundreds of employees as post-inauguration transformation begins, according to sources. One of these days, I'm telling you, I'm going to be a source. I cannot wait for it to happen. It hasn't happened to me yet, but when sources say something, man, oh man, that's what I'm aspiring to do in my life. One of these days, your boy's going to be a source, and you're going to know too. I'm going to screenshot it. I'm going to tweet it out. I'll be like, yo, that's me. I am the source. Hasn't happened to me yet, but I truly aspire to do that one of these days. I just want to be a source. I want to be a source so freaking bad. I'm not this source, but one of these days I will be it. But according to this source, whoever the source is, CNN, as many of us already know, mainstream media, legacy media, lamestream legacy media, it's dying. No one trusts it. Over the past, 4 to 8 years, there's just story after story of corruption and lying and misinformation, and no one's calling them a liar, but we're definitely not calling them a truther either. And I should take that back. People are actually straight up to their face calling them liars about this stuff. So it's no surprise that all of a sudden people are turning to individual creators for their news. They're turning to the likes of the microblog form of Twitter. That's becoming a much more popular news source for people to ingest what's going on, rather than just going on and clicking on CNN, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, even Fox, like all of these. I think that they're having legitimate problems, and I think it truly just stems from the fact that not only have they lost the trust of their viewer, I think they've severed it so incredibly bad that the chance of it coming back is borderline zero. Very quickly, recap from yesterday. If you guys were in the Discord, you know I made $4,080. Here's what happened. Around 10:05 in the morning, my chief investment officer, Piper, fired off a bullish signal on the SPY and the Qs, put credit spread, max confidence, which is a 3x multiple. That was for the SPY to be above 605 and for the Qs to be above 529 at the end of the day. I always play it via SPX just because there's no risk of pin risk, so I don't get my position called away early. And you can see right here, I had 40 of them and I sold them for $1.02 each, so $102 because remember it's options. So that is a return of $4,000 or $4,080. You can't forget about that 80. That's going to be a good lunch at Texas Roadhouse. Anyway, ended up making $4,080, which if you agree with the trade, if you understood what was going on, that paid for an entire 7 years of the Goonie trading Discord. So if you're interested in the Piper signal, my trades, other community members' trades, the previous lectures, everything going on there, remember your first month is free. Just put in this promo code Goonie. Use the link in the description of the video. First month is free. Perfect for you to test it out. I believe within that first month, you're going to be able to learn enough and find enough value that you're going to want to stay. As I even just showed you, my one trade alone yesterday paid for 7 years of the service. So I believe the service pays for itself, and that's why I'm giving you a little test ride of it to see if it is for you. And even if you choose to be a member instead of a supporter is a premium member, but if you just want to be a member, I still give you a lot of freebie things. You never have to pay for this. The main thing is the newsletter. I break down what's going on. I show you all the major earnings, all the Thursday right here. Here's all the major macroeconomic events. The Trump speech is at 11. It's not on this list because it was just announced yesterday, so I will update this. I give you the seasonality for each individual day. From a seasonal perspective, over the past 27 years, this day has been neutral. The Bulls have only won it 41% of the time. The Bears have, i.e., won it 59% of the time. The profit factor is just below 1, but you could see it's choppy. There was a bearish push. There was a bullish push. There was a bearish push. There might now be a bullish push. So the seasonality of today individually over the past almost 3 decades, it's not showing a clear winner is my major point. And then tomorrow I do want to let you know that it is leaning bullish to conclude the week. All right, where are we at right now in pre-market? SPY still trying to bounce from this 4 a.m. low. The tech sector showing a bit of weakness. Watching Tesla, I thought this was an interesting bounce from 410 up to 416. I'm also watching Meta. You guys, if you watch the update video from yesterday, you know why I'm watching Meta. I was just fascinated with all the positive bullish call flow into this particular ticker, and obviously it's also maybe potentially setting up for a test at the new all-time high. Let me bring this up. So yesterday, indecisive candle, we pretty much opened and closed at the same value, and I like this push. It seemed to be really testing the waters above 630. Obviously, as of yesterday, the market didn't quite like it, but we're not that far away from a test and a potential breakout of the all-time high. And when I see this technical setup with like the higher highs and the higher lows and that positive options flow, I just think it does increase the odds of success. So that's why I'm particularly watching that one. On the flip side, Tesla in the short term has been absolutely hammered, so I kind of want to watch that to see if it fails on this breakout. But we will be monitoring all of this as the day really gets going. And on that note, dingity, ding, 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 the world's largest casino is now open. Best of luck to all. Play responsibly, and if not, have fun. All right. I just want to make sure Skynet's on. I am running like version number 8 of Skynet now. We're just going to keep going and going and going until I figure out how it actually works or if I can make it work. So as of right now, no positions. Skynet is technically flat at the moment. And we're going to see. We're going to have the audio on. You're going to hear it pop off. And then obviously I have my accounts. Oh, on that note, I have some really good news. I don't know if you guys saw my tweet yesterday, but right here, when I was at the gym crushing leg day, I got this very exciting email from Apex. So around 5:21 yesterday, I was approved for another $40,000, $2,000 for 20 different accounts. So this is my third full max payout in a row from Apex. So at the end of December, I got 40,000. At the beginning of January, I got 40,000. And then obviously last night, another 40,000. So in the past month, I've been on a absolute tear. And I'm a little bit nervous because I know that this run is not going to last forever. And that's actually making me legitimately nervous. But I'm going to keep pushing it as long as it's here. But I just, this is like one of the best patches of my trading career ever. I'm on an absolute heater. So I was very, very excited to see that. And like I said, it's actually so dominantly to the upside that it's making me nervous because I know that Lady Luck is not going to be on my side forever. So I'm just curious when she's gonna leave. So a little bit of update there. I'll make a full update video. Tesla's going. How's the flow out of the gate? Mag 7 is actually bullish while the SPX is a little bit bearish. This is exactly what we saw yesterday where the S&P 500 was taking a bit of a hit while the Mag 7 was showing more strength. I saw that what in the world is going on here? Positions. So it looks like 2 of my 3 versions of Skynet are currently short. And they should be short. Okay. So they went short on that. I actually prefer that the market goes up and that they flip long. That's my personal opinion because I am swinging some bullish positions. But we know on an intraday basis, sometimes there's some choppiness and whatnot. But if the Mag 7 continues to hold this strong, see how the options flow out of the gate has just been up and up and up. This is literally what we saw yesterday. The Mag 7 had a ton of strength. The S&P 500, there was some profit taking, and then it ended up bouncing, and we ended up just pushing. So we might be literally today just running back yesterday's playbook. That's potential. And I should also let you know about the key levels. So if you see this on Spot Gamma right here, Captain Condor is back. We have a big player selling the 6,110 calls, and that same big player, most likely the same player, is selling the 6,060 puts. So that's going to create most likely a tight trading range today. Most likely, not a guarantee, but we will probably close out today somewhere below 6,110 and somewhere above 6,060. So Captain Condor is back. To be fair, Captain Condor did get blown out yesterday, so I don't know if they're on tilt. I don't know what's going on, but we have a giant iron condor, and just obviously shout out to Spot Gamma for providing this in such an easy to digest manner. Let me switch to the 1 minute just to see what's going on. So this is where I'm getting the levels from. So this is why I have the first major level, obviously downside, so it's support at 6,057, and then upside 6,112. These are the major levels I'll be watching. Obviously, I do believe this will act as support. I do believe this will act as resistance. But if we break above or if we break below, that actually could set up a very, very interesting trading opportunity. So I might be looking for that as well. And I should let you know that Spot Gamma is the official partner of today's stream. They are offering you guys 80% off. 80% off. This is an exclusive offer just for you guys, the Goonie community. There's no other community on this planet that Spot Gamma is offering this to. So use the link pinned to the top of chat in the description of the video. If you want to track this flow throughout the day, obviously I use it every single day. If you want to see where people are positioned or just get access to all the other cool things that they have going on right now, check it out. A huge discount, 80% off, pinned to the top of chat in the description of the video. All right, let me get out of this. We're going to move this over here. I should have called this out to you. There is still a downside gap fill on the SPY. There is a close one at 603.06. There's another one down here at 594.35, and there's one all the way down here at 585. Eventually, I do believe all these gaps are going to get filled, but these two ones that are farther away, I think it's just going to take some time. Yeah, if today gets wild, we might be gap filling to 603.06, but seeing how this player is currently positioned, the bottom side of Captain Condor, the put credit spread, I don't think it's going to be that likely. So I wanted to call that out. And then it looks like we also have this downside gap fill on the Qs. The close one is 525.97, so you could just think of it as 526, but there are two that are deeper. Once again, it might get that gap fill today, but I think it's going to come with low probability. I think it is unlikely today, once again, just because of what we are seeing from Captain Condor. It's just providing this structure, all this positive gamma. It makes it harder to move. It increases the stability. So just that chance of some big movement, it's lower.
Order
once
filled.
again, not impossible, but lower. And like I said, I was kind of looking to see what in the world would be happening here. And it does look as if they just cut that position. Well, one cut the position, one is still riding the short, and the additional one, the third one here, just didn't trade at all. So the trading that you hear, that is not me. That is just Skynet doing Skynet things. I'm still just continually working on it. And then obviously these top 20 accounts, you're going to know when they're trading because I'll let you know. But I'm just, I guess I'm waiting to see how today really shakes out. Looks like the Qs quickly pushed up to their low value from yesterday at 529.26. So we hit that already. The SPY catching a bit of a bid. Tesla popped out of the gate, giving some of it back. Meta not really doing much. Netflix is up 2%. Netflix is having a nice push. MSTR is up 1.9%. You have Coin up 0.9%. Meta slightly green. Nvidia is taking a bit of a hit this morning, down 1.7%. You have Rum up 5%. This is actually the biggest gainer on my watch list right now. Palantir is continuing to rip higher and higher and higher. We've talked about this. This is not only a strong investment, in my humble opinion, it's also a strong trade opportunity. So definitely watching what in the world is going on with old PLTR. Those are where the gains are on my watch list thus far. Are you guys seeing anything interesting? Actually, am I going to have to trade this soon? Maybe. Maybe. All right, I'm on the 200 tick. I might be buying the dip here soon. Your boy might be buying this dip. Maybe not. I thought the Mag 7 flow was stronger. I didn't realize it just dumped. The last thing I remember was it going up, so never mind. I was in dip buying mode until I just saw that the Delta was really selling off on the Mag 7. People are selling their calls. They're not really touching puts on the Mag 7, but they are selling their calls for this Friday, as of now. Once again, we only have 8 minutes worth of data, so I'm not saying it's the most decisive movement, but alas, it is the only data we currently have. Well, this is literally now the opposite. So yesterday, the Mag 7 was going up and up and up in the morning, and it was the S&P 500 bringing us down. And now we're getting a completely different story. The S&P 500 is going up and up and up, while the Mag 7's going down. So that's a bit of a trickery early this morning. A little bit of trickery out of the gate. Palantir's looking good. Rumble's looking good. I would love for Microsoft, NVIDIA, Qualcomm. I have these guys all up here just so we can continue to track it. The Qs seem to be struggling at their low value from yesterday. Just to show you the daily chart, once again, this low value from Wednesday, January 22nd, that's where it's currently battling it out. Well, the SPY is just kind of, it's an inside bar. It's kind of at the opening value from yesterday. Maybe it's going to want to push that closing value. What's happening right now is it seems as if the SPY wants to go more, but it's being held back currently by tech. So I'll be watching some of these big tech plays to see if they can catch a nice bid. NVIDIA seems to be heading to the upside. Microsoft seems to be heading to the upside. All right, hang on. Hang on. Hold your horses. All right.
Order filled.
I'm going long on this. 73. And I'm putting my stop. I feel like, sell.
Order
All
submitted.
right, I'm doing obviously my manual trades right now. We're going to see how this works for me. I'm looking at this test of the 936 high. I'm hoping we can break above it. I love the recapture of 900. I have well-defined risk. And I will happily, let me put in my max target. I'm not saying I'm going to hit this, but I just know I can't go really past it.
Order filled.
All right. All right, all right. And the other order, Phil, as you're hearing, it just relates to Skynet doing Skynet things. But I am hoping that this breakout holds. We have a little bit of a recapture of VWAP right here. This dash white line is literally just VWAP, the volume weighted average price. So below it, it's commonly thought to be bearish. Above it is commonly thought to be bullish. I'm just kind of using it as a little bit of a filter, just a quick little visual filter to know if I should be bullish or bearish on top of the super trend indicator that I already have on the screen. So we're going to see. I think I'm trading a little bit early today, but it's just because of this setup. I do see strength in the SPY. I'm enamored with this bullish flow right now. I mean, look at this. We have 0 DTE calls being bought like no other. I'm just hoping that we don't get a hard reversal at like 9:45 at 10 a.m. But once again, I don't know anything about the future. All I can go off of is the current real-time data, and I see the flow is pointing one way. I don't like this Mag 7 flow. I'm hoping that that can chill for a second. So that's why I'm a little bit tentative. That's why I already put in my stop for my risk just in case this thing goes against me. So I'm being a little bit more cautious with it because I'll admit it, it's obviously not an A+ setup. I mean, it's a fine setup. I would say it's like a C+ setup, a B-. So I don't mind it. And more so just because I'm not overly confident based on the current delta flow. I'm just going to be a little bit more cautious here. I do see the SPY and the Qs going up, but the underbelly of the situation is not so good. Yes, the S&P 500 is pumping, and actually it's turning a little bit right here at 941. But the Mag 7, not a fan of this. There's been a lot of call selling against the like cumulative group of Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla. So this, if this was also ripping, it would be an A+ setup. If it turns around, it goes to like a B setup. So right now, not the strongest play, still a potential opportunity. And heck, I just need a little bit of a push in a direction that's going to favor me. But I do want to call this out that I'm not the most comfortable with this. I'm definitely not the most comfortable with this trade at the exact moment, especially because it looks like we're failing here at the VWAP test. It tried to push over, got smacked. Might be finding a little bit of support at this standard deviation move to the downside. All right, you know what? This feels like it's a little bit reachy. I don't even need that. Order canceled. All right, so I'm not even going to have that target in because we might be in management mode. I was hoping that I could catch a lucky break. I was hoping that the bearish aggression or more renewed bullish aggression would be stepping in on the Mag 7. I thought I saw it right here, but obviously it was faded pretty hard. Might have been a bit early on this trade, so I'm going to be patient. I'm not going to let my risk get away from me today because it might be a bit of a choppy day. The 5-minute, the 10-minute, the 30-minute are all bullish on the S&P 500. The 5 minutes trying to go bullish. The 10 minutes trying to go bullish on the Nasdaq. 30-minute is still bearish. So I would love to see the NQ contract take out 21,920. It's the high from like really this pre-market. So that's what I'm looking for. And most likely this will be, you see how the delta's pushing up right now for the options market on the Mag 7? It'll probably be more of that. Like I want to see the delta all the way back up to this like 933 high. I just want to see the delta push and push and push. That the more that really, I need them to stop selling calls. I would love them to buy back calls, but at minimum, just please stop selling the calls. I mean, they bought calls up until about 9:33. The first 3 minutes were bullish, and then all of a sudden, everyone and their grandma started selling calls. So I'm hoping that that trend can stop, and I want to see some call buying get in there, and I would even love to see some put buying. So this is once again just for the Mag 7. I would love for it to look like the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is exactly the bullish setup you're looking for. People are buying calls and they are selling puts. It doesn't get much better than that. So I need the S&P 500 to basically tell the Mag 7, hey, brother, do what we're doing right now. So this is my big concern because I still see some longer dated calls being sold right here. Longer dated calls is this orange line right here. You can tell that it's actually been pretty aggressive call selling ever since the first 3 minutes into the trading session. So looking for that trend to stop. And it seems as if the SPY is trying to get the tech sector to do what it's doing, but we're going to give it a second. I'm still long. I have a small long position. I need to move my stop up just in case something silly happens. I'm moving my stop up to 80. I don't want to risk that much money. My current risk is in the realm of $400, which is I'm willing to take that
Order
risk.
filled.
Looks like Skynet just went long as well, which is actually making me a bit happy. Positions, strategies. Well, that's not right. Why is it long? It shouldn't be long. I tried to fix the code yesterday, and it looks like I messed something up. It should only be trading one contract as I'm in this testing phase. I don't know why it's trading more. Which one is it? Which account is it? Nope. It is account 38. So it's long 2. Why is it long 2? All right. Well, looks like I messed. And then that one's long 1. So this one's not. All right. I guess we're going to have to hope that the market pops. I don't know why it's doing double the size than it should be, but I assume it's just because I wrote crappy code. But it's never fun to be long double the contracts that you want to be when the call options on the Mag 7 are still getting smoked. Like this is not good for me. This is not trending the way I need it to. Because what's going to happen here is if this bullish aggression in the S&P 500 slows down and this persists, yeah, the whole thing's going to turn. So I'm getting a bit nervous. The SPY is looking good and strong, getting a bit nervous about the Qs right here. Microsoft, Meta's not really doing anything. Amazon's getting a nice pump this morning. Uh-oh. Come on. I just need this call selling to stop. They are like aggressively smashing calls. Yeah, I mean, you could see. So the blue line is the puts. The puts have been steady. No one's really touching Mag 7 puts thus far today, but they are selling calls. Like they are very clearly selling their calls. So they might be creating a ceiling on top, or they might be getting out of a long position. I don't know if they're doing this to get into a position or to get out, but I can tell you they're clearly selling calls, and it has not stopped. Not stopped. But then on the opposite side, look at this. It's just they're selling puts and buying calls. So the S&P 500, the Mag 7, similar to yesterday, the opening session, two completely different stories. Obviously, I'm hoping that the people playing the SPY are right, but the people playing the Mag 7 this morning are being fucking negative Nancy's for sure, dude. For sure. Coin is actually having a nice pump up to 300, so is MSTR. Where's Bitcoin? Bitcoin's getting a nice pump up to 105,000. How's Trump coin this morning? Trump coin chilling at 37 and actually getting a nice pump. Solana's 252, XRP's 315. Google had a nice pump, giving some of it back. Broadcom doing, I suppose, Broadcom things. Actually looking decent. ASML, gap down, but a nice recovery. Apple not really doing anything. Palantir's having a good day for sure. MSTR is up almost 3%. MSTR is having a good one. So crypto seems to be doing all right. Crypto is having a pretty good day right now. Bitcoin, like I said, just below 106,000. Remember, the all-time high is 109. So I am in this position. We're going to see how it's going to go. Here's the look at the flow. S&P 500 is long and strong. Maybe they're finally stopped. Maybe it only took them 20 minutes to stop selling all those calls. I'm hoping whatever this bearish sentiment is about, I'm hoping it's now over. I want to see more calls being bought. Puts have been closed out during this. So that's interesting. People closed out puts and closed out calls. That's interesting. Removing negative delta, removing positive delta. So delta was being just straight up removed from the system on both the call and the put side. So I would love for the negative delta to continue to be removed on the put side. And I want to see more delta added into the system from call buying. Basically, I want the Mag 7 to look exactly like the S&P 500. Adding a ton of positive delta, removing a lot of negative delta. As the delta goes higher and higher, we know that the market makers have to hedge by buying the underlying. And when you buy the underlying, it just pushes the underlying higher. So I'm hoping that I get, this was a good read. I was a little bit early. You could see I got in here at 939. Looks like a better entry would have probably been 947 on this higher low. But you never know. You never know the next bar. I'm going to be capping myself today at 50 points. And I should also... Okay, I have my stop there. That's not too bad. Like I said, I'm only risking 20 points. So $400. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I would love for this to hit.
Order submitted.
That's my max profit. Obviously, if the market turns before there, if I see a continuation in the weakness of right here of these calls, if the calls start to turn back down, I might get out early, but this is the max I'm going for because it's going to be roughly $1,000. And that's just some consistency rule stuff that I have to consider when trading on prop accounts. So it has nothing to do with my overall system. It has nothing to do with the trend, nothing like that. This level, it's not some big brain mathematical prediction or reading the market or something like that. It's literally just, I know I'm capped at I need to cap myself at $1,000. So that's how I'm coming up with that. It's by no means me saying this is the ceiling of where we're going today. If anything, I would love for it to rip past it. I want it to keep going and going and going, but I do need to be conscientious of the 30% profit rule from just prop accounts. So just letting you know where the logic from that is. So I have my upper target, I have my downside risk, and I might have to manage it somewhere in the middle. But for now, I'm liking the current setup. Liking the setup, and I'm liking that they're buying calls. I'm really liking that they're buying calls here. I'm really liking that as well. Okay, let's keep going, SPY. Where are we in the grand scheme of things? We are pretty much heading up. Let's go to the SPY. Let's go to the 30-minute. All right, here's the situation. We had a push to the downside. We're now above the opening value from yesterday, and we're kind of maybe making a run to yesterday's closing value, which was what, like 606, like 41 or something like that? Like, we're getting close to that closing value, which was, 606.44. Sorry, I misspoke. So I would love to see the SPY come all the way up to the closing value, make that attempt to go from red to green, and then the Qs have some distance to go. The Qs closed out at 531.51, so we have about $2 still. So the Qs definitely have some like room to the upside without too much nerves, while the SPY hopefully just can blast above 606.44 and get going. I'm hoping. Meta slightly in the green, but not really doing anything on an intraday basis. Amazon is now getting tired after a pretty decent recovery. Netflix up 1.8. Tesla, nice V-shaped recovery. You have Coin holding good. It's above 300. MSTR also looking good. DJT maybe bouncing a little bit here. Rum had a good push, gave some of it back. Palantir is looking great. Palantir is definitely looking great. Tesla was looking pretty good. We'll put Coin up there for right now just to see if this thing can break out. Looks like the Qs are stalling out a little bit, and so is the SPY. What's going on with that? Did the flow stop? Puts are still being closed. Calls are still being purchased. S&P 500 going a little bit flat, but a lot of puts being closed, a lot of calls being open. So I'm cool with it. Let's just check this out. Let's switch it back to this. Yeah, so we're seeing options turn a little bit. Price, for whatever reason, is being far more dramatic right now. The price reaction is a lot more dramatic. What time is it? 9:53. I'm kind of expecting these types of shenanigans around 10 a.m. is right at 10, right after 10 is where you see some BS. So maybe they're doing the BS a little bit early today, but I'm not really that worried because once again, the options are still decently strong. So I think this price dip is a little bit of BS if you ask me. But regardless, if things go against me, I still have my stop in. If there's like a random puke, just because as much as you want things to always just magically go your way, you get into real danger, obviously, when you just are not protecting your downside whatsoever. The markets, what's the saying? That the markets can remain irrational much longer than you could remain liquid. So you got to keep that in mind. Not liking this at all. The Qs are making a valiant effort to hold on to the low value from yesterday. It had a tough time getting above it, got smacked, pushed again, and right now we're just battling it out at 529.25, which also happens to roughly be 21,900 flat, which is kind of my entry point. So right where this breakdown level is actually my long level. So hopefully I'm on the right side of this. Maybe Lady Luck will continue to shine upon me today. The SPY pushed, now taking a break. It's not really giving anything back, but it is looking good. And then same thing, the Qs push and now they're flat. So we're just in now a period of market consolidation. We're waiting for the next leg. You can see here, big leg to the upside. Now we're paused. Well, this has really just been a huge leg to the upside, but now we're a little bit more paused. Let me go to the 30 second. Let me go to the 30 seconds. This might clean it up a little bit. All right, there we are. Come on, let's get this bounce. Hopefully this, let me just zoom out. You know what? Let's go to the 300 just so we could see more of the picture. All right, did not mean to do that. All right, there's a bit more of the picture. Hopefully that's clear. So we're not only are we at this key level on the NASDAQ of 21,900, but we're also at the Qs trying to hold the low value from yesterday. And this happens to all be happening right as we're at VWAP. So like this is that indecisive zone. And I'm assuming from this price drop right here that something had to happen. Oh yeah, we're going down again. The delta's falling. Right here, the Mag 7 Delta is actually getting hit pretty hard right here. So is the SPY. 5 minute. Yeah, the NASDAQ is the weak player. It tried to get going. It tried to save itself ever so valiantly. And then someone just smacked it as we're getting close to the turn of the hour. So ES is trying to hold green, 5 minute, 10 minute, 30 minute green, but the NASDAQ, the 5 minute, 10 minute, and 30 minute are clearly weak. My risk is about to get hit. My system calls for me to go short here. I think I have to follow the system. I'm just worried that it's a fake out. How much is my max risk here? All right, I'm going to follow this system. I don't feel the most comfortable with it. I'll call that out in real time, but the 5 minute, 10 minute, 30 minute are red, and the Mag 7 just vomited again after like just this failed recovery, this failed pump. So I'm not feeling comfortable. This is not a high odds situation that I'm enjoying, but even the S&P 500 just took a hit right there. So I don't like it because of this mismatch. I don't like the fact that the SPY was incredibly strong, just gave some back, while the Mag 7 was weak, then strong, then is now currently vomiting. And then even the SPY right here, the 5 minute and the 10 minute and the 30 minute are green, but the 5 minute, 10 minute, and 30 minute on the NASDAQ are red. So I hate this mismatch. When you have the mismatch in highly correlated things, it's never really a good sign. It's never really a good sign. Where are we at?
Order canceled.
So I mean I'm following the system, but I just want to make it clear that I'm not the most stoked about it. I'm a little bit worried that this is just some like whipsaw BS, and it might continue down. It might just whip back up. The whip back up might be another whip that whips back down. It's shaping up to be a pretty messy day. I'm worried about what's going to happen right at the turn of the hour. We do seem to have an influx of volatility in trades about 30 minutes into the day. I might get lucky and they might cause it to puke and I could hit my profit, or they might completely revert it and I take my second hit on the day. So I'm following the system because that's what the system's there for. But I do want to make it very clear, I am not happy with the mismatch between the SPY and the Qs. Generally, I can execute quite a bit better when everything is in agreement. But I think the major play here is to keep watching this delta. We puked on the SPY, then we're flat. So let's just say if the next leg's to the upside or to the downside, the Mag 7 is continuing to puke. I think this actually, I know it does favor, and then we just saw a spike. This is what I'm talking about, this like whipsaw, absolute whipsaw. So price just spiked, but the delta is not. Price just got a spike as we're heading into the turn of the hour. It seems a little bit lackluster according to the world of options flow. Yeah, we picked up a little bit on SPX, but the Mag 7 does not seemingly care about this pop. This pop that we're having in price right now from 958 to 959, I see that price went up. I get it. That might seem exciting. This seems exciting. I totally get it. I'm just letting you know the options market, as of right now, seemingly does not care. In fact, they're using it to fade. Be careful on this. They're absolutely using this price pop to fade. I mean, the delta is continuing to drop. Be careful here. I'd be singing a different tune if I saw options go with it. I'd be like, yep, this is the fake out we're talking about. But even right here, be careful. Be careful. Be careful. I think these 3 minutes, these 3 green bars, as of now, according to the options market, are bullshit. Nope, hang on. We're getting some positive flow coming in now. A little bit of a weird disconnect. Have you made a video yet about how to find the Discord? If you can't find the Discord, it's not meant for you, I think is my base case. It's pretty easy to find. 10 a.m. orders are coming in. Yep, that's what we have right now. I was calling that out before, like just the 10 a.m. whipsaw. Sometimes if you're on the right side of it, it's a nice benefit. Sometimes if you're on the wrong side of it, it's not so nice. We'll put it that way. But the reason that I was so confident in not chasing this is all because of spot gamma. I mean, you guys are listening to me do the analysis in real time of why I thought this pump was BS. Folks, 80% off. Spot gamma is the partner of today's stream. You're already seeing in real time how useful it is. It stopped me from saying, oh yeah, I'm going to chase it long. Oh yeah, I'm going to chase it long, because the options market told us that it was BS. It absolutely told us it was BS. So this analysis alone of like, nope, this price being BS, it already paid for itself. Already paid for itself on that alone, because I didn't get chopped out of this position. And obviously I have no idea what the next little flow is going to be here, but I just was able to get this reading that this was not something to dump my short on, because there was a good chance that we're continuing to the downside. And obviously that's exactly what we did. In fact, we went from 80 up to 900 and then dumping again. And now I'm almost back to break even right there. So this is why you have the system. This is why you have to learn the tactics of reading this type of option flow. Very, very beneficial. So if you're interested in this or seeing where Captain Condor is, and speaking of that, Captain Condor has to be getting tested somewhat soon, right? Where is SPX at? Not really. Captain Condor is getting tested down here at this bottom line. All right, but I should manage this a little bit better than I have been. A little bit better. Come on. Come on. Maybe I'll use this as my risk. I just need like a little additional puke here, and then I could set my risk to being in profit. Come on, just break down. Almost back to break even. And it looks like Skynet is short two. That's all wrong. Well, this one's right. It should only be short one. I don't know why it's doubling up on me. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I'll have to figure that out after the stream. What are we doing? What? All right. Where do I want my risk? So I'm short at 83, 82.75. I'm basically break even. We're below VWAP. Where do I want my risk? My risk right now, my mental stop is around 900 roughly. But as this continues, like I said, I want to see this like a puke below it, and then I could set my stop to break even, and then I have a lottery ticket. Obviously, I'm slightly down on the day because my first trade locked in a loss of about $470, $465. So that means that I need, I'm a little bit on the catch-up side, you know? And now this is going against me. What's going on with the flow? What is going on? The flow is still negative. I don't know why price is bouncing right now. Doesn't seem like price should really be bouncing. A little bit of a pop right there, right where my cursor is, but nothing too special. It seems like price is acting a bit irrational on a relative basis. S&P 500 still pretty weak right there. So here's what I'm looking for. Basically, there's that. 75. Interesting. Man, today would have been so much easier if it was just a nice bullish ripper of a day. I was really hoping we would just have a strong, because obviously we sold off a bit overnight. I was really wanting just a huge. That's why when I saw this pump this morning, I was really getting bummed out when we seemingly couldn't hold yesterday's low on the Qs. I wanted, like, if I could wave a magic wand, today would have been way easier for me, way easier if it was just like a strong bullish recovery. Way easier. So the fact that I'm seeing this get hit so hard, I don't like it. I don't really like it. I don't really like it. Yeah, that's still getting hit. Still getting hit. But the price action's the price action, I suppose. The price action is the price action. I'm slightly up right now. I was up. Well, I'm barely up, actually. What's happening? Yeah, these are getting dumped, and they're getting dumped pretty hard. All right, I added to the position. I just added another short contract. I'm feeling lucky on this breakdown. All right, and then I'm going to try to take one off at 52.
Order submitted.
All right. Well, we bounced on that trend line, so that was unfortunate. I was really thinking that this third test would be the snap. Well, that got away from me real quick. That got away from me real quick, team. I thought that this breakdown, I thought it was being smart, like just watching, letting it come back. Oh, we're curling back to the downside. I didn't think that it would bounce like that. Obviously, I didn't think it would bounce like that. Wow, did I go short right when the delta turned? No. Really? That's unfortunate. How's the Mag 7? Price is popping. Delta's going up a little bit too. Not as much as you'd think, though. Be careful. The S&P 500, people are using this pop once again to still fade it. The Mag 7 pop's a little bit more convincing. I thought I was being shrewd there. I thought I was actually making like a smart move for once. I really did. I thought I like had what was going on. For the boys, what does the dollar movement in the Qs equal in futures price? About 40 points, roughly, give or take a couple points. But if you see the NASDAQ right here, like if we go from 900 to 940, that's about $1 in the SPY. Like I said, it's not exactly that, but it's in that realm. SPX, I see that the price went up, but once again, options are not agreeing with it. Oh, and the Mag 7 just got smashed right there. I think this pays. I think I'm still good. It's just every time there's a little bit of like a breathing room in price back to the upside, the options players are still using it to just like get out and smash it. So yeah, I mean, look at this right here. We got that little pump. The delta did go up, smash. If you look at the S&P 500 on that pump, nothing. Yes, I see that price went up, but no one was getting bullish in options on it. So when I see that mismatch, we used to be in the world where the price was the dog waving the tail of options, and now it's inverse. We're now in the situation where the tail, the options flow, is wagging the entire dog, which is why I follow it so closely. So even right here, price went up a little bit, but I'm still seeing options get hit. I think we're going down. I don't know what this Q alert was about. Oh, it's just because I wasn't on it. Now, with that being said, sometimes I see weakness in options and price just goes way too far against me that I'm sweating. Ooh, coin is getting smashed right now. So even like this, yes, I see weakness in options, but that doesn't really negate the fact that I'm down on mine. So remember, what was the saying before? That price can remain illogical longer than I can remain solvent. So if there's a big push, it could still completely screw me over. especially when you have to have such a tight drawdown as you commonly do on prop accounts. But I'm closely watching this. Every little price push up, these option players are just like, look at this. SPX just smashing. All right. I'm marking out the intraday low because right now my gut is telling me that we are heading there. This options market is a little bit too bearish. It could change on a moment's notice, but just based on the information we have right now, the party was over at 9:55 for the bears this morning. Yeah, 9:55 is right when there was that clear pivot from a bullish options market to a bearish options market. Price is still trying to fight, but options are not giving it that much room to breathe. Not that much room to breathe. The SPY is still getting hit there. Golly. Someone said BTC is dumping. Am I missing some like key announcement or anything like that? Obviously, feel free to shout it out if I'm missing something. In about 50 minutes, I believe we're going to be hearing from President Trump, so we're going to stay on a little bit. Oh, the Q's just popped out of nowhere. Is that a real pop or a fake pop? Options picked up a bit, but SPX didn't, folks. I think it's fake. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm telling you that they are not that excited about it. I see the pop too. I see that pop, and I'm letting you know the options market doesn't give two shits. Does not give two shits. Hang on. Find the link to the... Oh, all right. I'm just getting the link to this Trump speech. Maybe the market is nervous about what he's going to say. But I'm calling it out again. No crystal ball. I think that this pump you're seeing from 10:06 to 10:11 in the last 5 minutes, unless we see this delta pick up, there's a big flow alert right there. It's just options are not following suit. They are just not following suit today, team. I don't know what to tell you.
Order filled.
That was not my personal order. That was the bot getting out of the short. I am actually getting beat up, though, pretty good. Shit. Lady Luck's not on my side. This is what I'm saying is like, it still feels like it's going to drop to me, but I can't take that much heat. I still have to respect my risk. Like, I see price going up. I agree with you, but options are still telling us that it's going down, that this is just completely BS. But that doesn't stop the fact that I still need to manage my current position and have to consider it. I'm holding because I'm not at my pain point yet, but I'm still confident this drops. I'm just not seeing enough of an uptick in the delta here. I see prices going up, but I'm calling this out again. I think it's BS. I think it's complete BS. And then I will be changing my opinions. In fact, I might even change my position if the options do pick up. I'm not married to the bearish position, as I told you. I'd prefer that this was a ripper of a day to the upside. Like, I'd much, much prefer that. But all I can go off of is the actual flow right now in real time. And the flow in real time right now is lethargic. We had a pretty big puke and maybe a dead cat bounce that got faded. We bounced again. Where are we here? Oh, the Mag 7 is catching a bid now. In the short term, I guess we could pay attention to this. Once again, this is the combined delta flow on Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Tesla, the artists formerly known as the Mag 7. The artist formerly known as the Mag 7. Watching this, watching it very closely. The Qs, maybe they're trying to test this red-green move again. If it can hold this, that actually kind of changes the dynamic a little bit. But as we saw, rejected, try to hold above, rejected, rejected. I'm curious now. The Qs, the NASDAQ is having a tough time battling it out at 529.25, which happens to be yesterday's low. The SPY trying to hold 606, but I think it's all going to come down to this battle right here. Right here. What's the flow? Oh, the Mag 7 is picking up. Should I punt it long? Should I punt long? Are we going to hold here? The SPY is also, it's trying to show a little bit of positive delta. I'm not necessarily convinced yet because that was quite the vomit. The 5-minute, 10-minute, and 30-minute are bullish on ES. The 5 minutes trying to go bullish on NQ. The 10 minutes testing. The 30 minutes still bearish. I find that concerning. I definitely find that concerning. But who knows? Trends have to start somewhere. Trends. Oh, the Mag 7. It's picking up better than I thought. I mean, right here, that was the dead cat smashed at 10:06 to 10:07, but clearly something a little bit different's going on this time around. We'll just keep monitoring that. SPX, man, I would be more willing to flip my position long right here, maybe even with size, if I saw some enthusiasm in the S&P 500. But ever since this puke at 955, it hasn't found anything. It's just completely flat, which is going to make it really difficult for the NASDAQ to get above. Now, maybe someone splashes the pot here.
Order filled.
Maybe someone splashes the pot here. What are we doing? Let me get rid of this. Remove. You know what we could do? We'll do a little bit of the most extreme. We'll watch this kind of upswing right here. So this white dash line is just the VWAP. Once again, a lot of people have been asking me to throw it on the screen just because it is a popular indicator. So remember, VWAP, the volume weighted average price. The TLDR on it is if you're below it, that means that the average player is below, as in not good, a little bit more bearish. And then once again, if you're above it, it's thought to be a little bit stronger, a little bit better. So a little bit more bullish because the average player is good because it's the volume weighted average price. So that's where the average participant is in the market at that moment in time. So the average player has a position at 21,904. So if we're below it, they're feeling pain. If we're above it, they're probably feeling good. Why does this fall? So we clearly just not only got this little miniature trend line breakdown, but we also got smacked right at VWAP. And the reason I've been holding through all this is because I'm just not being convinced. The bounce in the S&P 500 delta is absolutely lethargic. And the bounce in the Mag 7, it was more convincing for a second there, but it's now flattened out. The second it flattened out was exactly when price dropped. It's just what were they doing? Someone was buying calls for this Friday. So that's what this bounce was, kind of getting initiated at 10:08. Someone was buying calls on either a grouping or at least one of these Mag 7 names, once again, for this Friday. This Friday's calls were being purchased on either one or more of the Mag 7. But as soon as that call buying stopped right here, see how it just went flat? That's exactly when the Mag 7 got smacked at VWAP and broke this little miniature trend line. And ideally, it can at least knock me back to being in a... I would love to at least be break even on this, you know? Part of me was actually thinking about going short another one at 900, but that probably wouldn't be advisable by the fact that I'm already down on the day. I don't really need to be doing extra stupid stuff. You could probably safely argue that I've already been doing enough stupid stuff on the day. So just I'm doing my best to read this, trying to read the options flow, trying to read if I should just throw the towel in on my position or if I'm going to get lucky. As of right now, I'm not feeling the most comfortable, but I don't have that gut feeling that I'm absolutely screwed because I'm just seeing no excitement in the S&P 500 right now. Actually, literally, as I say that, it pops a little bit. Well, that's funny. That's a little bit of a joke, a little bit of a ha-ha. All right, let's get some of these trend line breakouts and breakdowns. All right, let's see. Today's been an interesting day. At first, the SPY was the strong one, and then the Qs were the weak one. Then the Qs were the strong one while the SPY was the weak one. And now it's inverting again where the SPY is becoming a bit stronger and now the Qs are becoming a bit weaker. So in terms of who's dominating to the upside or to the downside, really who's like, I don't know, the captain of the ship today, we've had clear switches between the SPY and the Qs. Qualcomm doesn't really seem to mind. NVIDIA's getting hit. Microsoft. Things just started to randomly get hit right here at 1013. Look at this, all this 1015. Someone started to sell at 1015 across the major tech names. I don't know who that guy is, but I might owe him a cold beer at the end of today if I can just actually make some money on this freaking trade. Mag 7 is picking back up. Is it the put buyers monetized? Nope. Calls are coming back in. Puts are being closed and someone's buying calls once again, which is leading to this little bounce right here. I almost got back to break even. Almost got back to break even. What are we doing? All right, we broke this trend line. I don't need that anymore. We were clearly smacked at VWAP. We came back down to the low that we saw at 1008. And as soon as we got to that low, instead of breaking it, that's exactly when a call buyer started to buy and these puts started to get sold, adding a bit of more positive delta. S&P 500 is still kind of flat, not really doing the most right now. Hasn't really done anything since 1015. The S&P 500 kind of flat. What are we doing? That was a pop right there for sure. For sure. And a smack. A pop and a smack. And, ooh, whoa, whoa. Someone's smashing the S&P 500 right now. Right there. Look at that. That is brutal. Someone just smacked the S&P 500. Oh, dude, that was some size too. Someone. And almost got the SPY to crack that 1010 low. That's right where the alert was. How low did it get? It got to the exact same level. It just didn't crack it. All right. Are we speeding up here? Are we going to get a random vomit? Come on. I at least just, can this position get back to break even? Like, why can't we just be waiting to see if we're going to get a breakdown at 68? Why are we doing this at 90? Why can't we do the dancing around where I'm in the green rather than in the red? Come on. Come on, Tonto. Come on. Come on. Do we have a song for bearishness? Do we have a bearishness song? What is this one? Hustlers 100. I'm a bag holder. We could play the bag holder song right now.
I want to sing, scare of smears, that's crying in the shower, drowning his tears, broken heart, a shattered soul, he's all alone, feeling so cold, Mississippi failures blasting his brain, echoing his pain, driving him insane, waterfalls down his face and trips as he crumbles, broken into shreds. Oh.
Classic crying in the shower song. The Mag 7 is holding decent. Price is going up. Yep, and surprise, surprise, options are pushing it up. Ooh, the SPY is being quickly reversed. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoever this was that dumped it, the options market is saying, hey, buddy, go screw yourself. And they're pushing it right back up. What was that? Someone sold calls and bought puts, and now they're selling those puts. So these puts are people are using this drop in the SPY to monetize their puts. And actually on this recovery, Mag 7 still looking pretty decent, and we're actually, maybe it holds V. I might have to throw in the towel here pretty soon on this play. It's just there's too much strength coming back. I'm gonna give it a second to see if it actually holds VWAP, but if it does hold it, I mean, I can't fight it. I can't fight this much longer, especially because, I mean, the options, it did actually truly bounce. It wasn't like, oh, we're seeing a bounce in price and options are still weak. We're seeing a legitimate bounce now. Man, that was a big candle there. Delta's fading a little. The bounce in the SPY actually wasn't that much. It was more prominent here. Just, I mean, clearly the delta since 10:08 is up. Like I said, we've kind of flipped back and forth of like who's leading this path upwards. But every single time the Qs are getting a pop, the SPY's just not biting. Like they're just the bullish degens are not coming in here. Look at it, it's already getting faded on the SPY again. Every single time there's this little relief pop, which is being led by the Qs, and the Qs aren't, it's weird. So the SPY's refusing to go up, and the Qs are refusing to go down with respect to their options, which is literally the opposite of what we saw this morning. So one of them's going to have to give. One of them's going to have to snap the other way, and I guess the current price action is definitely making me want to cry in the shower. You know what I should do for all of you? Let's go to the 300. This is the major trend line now to watch for the Qs. For the NASDAQ, I should say. All right. So it tried to get above VWAP, got smacked, put in a higher low, went above again, put in a higher high, getting smacked again. Now I'm watching this trend line. Because something, I mean, I'm pointing out this mismatch to you. Something, oh, the SPY's dumping again, dude. All right. I went short another one. All right, I am now short 3 just because, I don't know, maybe I'm reading the options flow right, but I just, look at that. I don't know what to tell you. Like I said, I wanted today to be a bullish day, but I just see options continue to get smashed. If the delta drops here, if whoever this call buyer is on the Mag 7 stops buying, and especially if they start selling, it'll just dump. But I went short another one on this trend line breakdown, brought up my average a little bit, and I also moved up my first profit target. Obviously, now that I'm carrying more size, I'll scale out of the first 2. Ideally, I'll scale out of the first 2, and then I'll just try to ride that third one is my current game plan. But this also might have been the old trap because it looks like we're bouncing right from here, but I'll know more. Options are flat. And the SPY, it did puke, but now we're coming right back up. Okay, are we going to turn this around? Are we going to turn this show around? What are we doing? It's turning around to the upside. The wrong way around for me. Crapola. I really thought that would cause enough panic for this thing to just puke. What is it? It's 10:27 right now. We have not broken the bounds of the day? Yeah, we haven't broken low, but we also haven't broken high. So we've actually just had a very whippy inside type of a day. But it looks like maybe the Qs are coming down now. We're retesting this trend line. Let's see if it can hold this time around. We are below VWAP, and yet it's somehow finding support. This is crazy, man. How does it just keep doing this? Every single time I think I'm going to get lucky and I'm going to get the push that I need is the second it does the opposite thing. Even this right here, I was like, oh, we're retesting. We're going to puke right there. Nope, bounce. Nope, bounce. There's just like equal forces trying to keep this up and push it down, which is generating this painful whip, kind of as I alluded to this morning. When you see these setups, when you see this absolute mess of a situation where ES is bullish and then NQ is bearish, like it's a chop day. It's an absolute chop day. And of course, on a chop day, I've now painted myself into a corner where I'm trading more size on a day that I don't like. But that's just because I was trying to bring up my average and I thought I was still going with this flow. But the flow might be tilting over on the Mag 7. It's definitely not looking so hot on the SPY here. Definitely not looking so hot. I just need the NQ to just get below like 80. Just at least, if you're going to dance around where I can see the green. I don't want to be down by 15 points. Is this going to do another test of VWAP? Like, is this just the VWAP test day? Honestly, that might be a very good Look at this. Is Bitcoin now bouncing? Because I see crypto related names are bouncing. Like right here. The SPY's not doing anything. The SPY's weak as could be. And then yet the Mag 7 is catching a bid right there, right above that reg rate. That's crazy. Look at this. The SPY's literally doing nothing right now. And then the Qs are like, oh, all right, cool. We'll rip. We'll rip. I'm seeing crypto related names. I'm getting some alerts. Where was MSTR? Yeah, coin. Look at this. Coin popping out of nowhere. MSTR popping out of nowhere. DJT popping now. Rum's back in the green. Palantir's been holding all day. Even Tesla got a little bit of a pop. Netflix is taking off. Amazon's going up. Meta's going up. Microsoft not doing much. Nvidia not really doing much. SPY is now weaker. SPY was the stronger one, and now it's actually holding as the clear weaker one. So who's going to win the battle? I don't know. I could just tell you that there was a bunch of call buying on the Qs until about 1018, 1020. Since then, a bit flat. And then the S&P 500's been a mess. Big vomit, pop. Big vomit, pop. Big vomit, pop. So it's been a lot more whippy. And yeah, we're testing VWAP again on the NASDAQ, which, damn, why did I add that third position on? That was stupid. I really thought this was the crack. I didn't think we'd be coming back so easily, especially with this weakness in the SPY. But as always, I'm painting myself into these corners because I'm thinking that one leads the way. But when there's mismatch, you don't know who the real leader is. Is the leader the NASDAQ? Is the leader the SPY? The fact that they're on the different sides and the options flow makes no sense. You don't know. So now I'm just trying to get lucky and hoping that the SPY is the leader and the NASDAQ does get cracked. But this is my current position. I'm down by about $1,000 and realized on the day, because I did lock in one loss of about $475. So it's actually even worse than my current position. And I haven't had a second to really breathe. Ever since I got into this, I went short one contract and it popped. And then went higher, so I went short another to bring up my average, popped again. And then on this trend line breakdown, I was like, okay, finally it's going to puke, brought up my average one more time, and then guess what? It popped one more time. I still think I'm going to get somewhat lucky. I talk about luck, but really it's just reading the current flow. And look how bad this is. The S&P 500 is just getting smashed. Like, it really has had no sizable like recovery. So because of that, that's why I think I'm quote unquote going to get lucky. And it's not really luck. It's just reading what the options market's doing. And I'm not seeing any bullishness. So if there is not a recovery in a short period, the people who bought calls, they're going to sell, and that's going to drop the delta even more. It looks like momentarily at 1027, there was a bit of a pop. It seems to be crypto related right here. You had Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin's been all over the map today. Dumped at 10:06. It's going back up. So now the SPY is catching a bid. Dude, this is a messy, messy, messy day. So the price is catching a bid. The delta is heading up. And now the Qs are going up. Dude, who is leading this market? The Mag 7's catching a bid. And now, okay, are we actually legitimately bullish? Like I said, my base case, I wanted things to be bullish. Is this going to hold, though? That's what I'm worried about, is every single pop's just been faded. So I can't chase it right out of the gate. I'm going to give it a second. Like I said, I am not by any means married to my short position. I would have preferred that it paid, obviously. I would have greatly preferred, but I want to know. I just want to be on the right side of whatever the big move is, and right now we really haven't had a big move. So the Qs are now putting in, ever since, I don't know, 10:03, we are putting in higher highs and higher lows. Messy higher highs and messy lower lows, but higher highs and higher lows nonetheless. All right. Do we have call buying actually coming in now? Is this the real deal? Mag 7's pointing up. SPX did pop. Is going to try to keep going. I'm getting some. All right. Do I need to close this? I'm watching this for a second. Maybe I could get out at not as high of a price. Oh, let's go to the 200 just so I can see a little bit more. Is this the real thing? Is this the move? I'm getting a little bit more convinced because this pop seems to be a bit different than the other pops in the S&P 500. And the Mag 7 also broke out of that high. That's a nice movement to the upside. What a messy, messy, messy day. Is this Mag 7 going to be able to hold? Here, I think you guys can see it better if we're on the 30-second. S&P 500 strong. Nasdaq's going one way. S&P 500 is doing something different. This is, in my opinion, this has been the day of like one leading the other. It just flipping back and forth. The flow's confused. I think big money doesn't know if it wants to do. All right, let's just, I guess, as always, stick to the system.
Order filled.
Stick to the system, dude. So the SPY almost took out its intraday high. The Qs did take out their intraday high. All right. Palantir. Who were the big name? It was crypto related. So coin. Oh, this is getting messy today.
Order filled.
We're getting messy today, Matt. I'm not doing smart stuff. All right. I'm now on the point of needing to catch this trend.
Order submitted.
All right, that's my max target. I had to do some quick math on this, but I'm going to have to do some intricate scaling and whatnot. I'm in a position I don't want to be in. We are breaking the way I wanted to. I wanted this whole thing to be bullish anyway. That was why my first position was bullish. All right, the SPY just made a new intraday high. The Qs just made a new intraday high. 5-minute, 10-minute, 30-minute bullish. 5-minute, 10-minute, 30-minute bullish. Things change that quickly. This 30-minute bar on the Nasdaq will close in 21 minutes, so that'd be like the true confirmation. But I do like that we took out this 8:30 a.m. high, this 21,920 level. The fact that we're above that is good. If we can hold it, obviously even better. So I am watching 21,920. We're about 10 points above that right now, which is, I don't know, call it 529, the high 529. So if the Qs can hold 530, we're looking good. The SPY's dancing around the intraday high, not far away from that red-green move. Do not be surprised if there's resistance there. With respect to the SPX, we seemingly are just got caught at this like 50 EMA. Let me go to the 3-minute. Maybe we could see this better. We're pushing up to that closing value. Remember, upside target, there would be a natural, I guess, the all-time high psychological level, options level of 6,100. But my real target on the day, if we can get up here, is going to be 6,112. And that is coming back from Captain Condor up here at 6,110, spread by 6,115. So I'll be watching this to see if we can recapture in the short term, if we can start taking out more of these EMAs. It looks like the 1 minute already has, the 3 minutes testing it right now. Important shelf at 6090 just from yesterday from a technical level, support, resistance. So watching 6090, that would be a nice level to take out. Key technical level, key options level at 6,100, and then a huge options level spread between 610 and 615. I am looking over. It looks like options are really now picking up on the S&P 500, and I don't know if this is true, but I wouldn't be surprised. Does that mean that they're getting faded on the Mag 7? No, Mag 7's actually holding pretty bullish now. So really hardcore drop between 955 and 1010. That is now obviously hindsight bias is 2020. Seemingly the low. We popped, we chopped, they tried to fade it, popped again. And now the S&P 500 is trying to pick its delta back up. It is being led higher by 0 DTE puts being closed, 0 DTE calls being open. And with respect to the Mag 7, we have a bunch of calls being purchased for this Friday, but more so calls are being purchased for longer dated. And recently there was a little bit of puts being closed out just recently. So it's trying to get going. All right, I'll remark out that intraday high on both of these just so we know if we're getting that continuation. I have the intraday low marked out and I have a potential reversal marked out, but this one's actually wrong. All right, that's right now. Coin getting faded a little bit. Is it tech related? I am back to break even. I don't like that. I liked it way more when I was sitting in the green. What is happening? If this is a fake out breakout, I might be utterly screwed on this one. 5 minute, 10 minute, 30 minute are green. 5 minute, 10 minute, 30 minute are green, but I'm watching this one right here. It is important for the NASDAQ futures contract to hold above 21,920, which is like literally where we're at. But as of now, according to the EMAs, and really ever since this pivot at 1010, the options flow has been favoring the bulls. It was getting questionable there of like, is it a dead cat bounce? Is it yes, no? But now we are still seeing that like continuation to the upside. So hopefully, I would love for the SPY to not only test 606.50, which is basically yesterday's close, but hold above it. And then it would be phenomenal if the Qs can test their close of 531.51. So just hoping that this recent high of 530.18 is not the high of the day. It's already getting faded a little bit right here. Getting faded a little bit. Well, let's see. This might set up a nice bull flag trade. A nice bull flag trade. Let me show you what I mean by this. Right here. So we had a strong pop to the upside. Strong pop to the upside. And now we have this channel of these lower highs, which it seems to be wanting to test right now. So I'd be watching, like literally that's what we're testing. Something along this. So huge pop, zooming in, coming back, trying to take this trend line. So obviously, if you're a short-term scalp trader, this would be your short-term risk. You're either looking to target the breakout or a breakout runner type of a thing. But obviously, I'm really drilled in. I'm on the 100-tick chart, but just to show you, I guess, a real-time example of this bull flag, which generally I have found that your odds increase on taking those trades if the EMAs are green. 5 minute, 10 minute, and 30 minute are green. 5 minute, 10 minute, 30 minute are green. And then, of course, you want to check the options flow, which is pretty bullish. In the short term, it's a little flat right now, but at least it's not selling hard. And on the S&P 500, it's still actively bullish right now. So just to show you an interesting trade, right, like this particular entry, you have well-defined risk and you have a well-defined target, or maybe you even have a runner. I kind of like it on bigger trend charts. The 100 tick is still pretty freaking small. I'd like to go a bit bigger, but I just thought that was a good discussion, a good teaching opportunity. So we'll see if this can hold, or let's say that you do need a bigger trend one. Maybe the trend actually ends up becoming something along these lines. Could be. That's what happens when you're going on a super small time or a super small tick. Sometimes you see structures that maybe other people are literally just not even seeing, because it's just like way too drilled in. The S&P 500 is continuing to push right here, long and strong. Mag 7 is still kind of flat, actually. What just pushed? So the SPY just made a new intraday high, going for that, the closing value. We're about to get that red-green test on the SPY. Right here, you could see when I say red-green test, literally red compared to yesterday's close, and that's obviously true if you're below it, where that was 44, and it looks like the high right now we were 2 cents away. Now with this, I'm by no means saying we're definitely going to break out or not. The strength of the options flow is suggesting that we will, but it's more of like, it's just a key level to pay attention to. And then right here, Remember, 6090 appears to be an important shelf from yesterday. It was the breakout, it was support, it was resistance, resistance, it was a breakout, support, 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 resistance, cluster. So 6090, there seemingly is a lot of people reacting to that. The SPY is going, but the Qs are lagging behind. So we might be shifting again for like the fourth time today, where the SPY led it up, the Qs were lagging. Then the Qs were leading us up and the SPY was lagging. And then now the SPY's leading us up and now the Qs are like, it's just going back and forth. That's been, I don't know, what's making today uniquely difficult is who is leading who. Meta is up. Netflix is up. Looking good. What else do we have? Tesla's not doing much. Coin might be getting going. MSTR might be getting going. Rum is up a nice 3.5%. Palantir's looking pretty good. I'm interested in, I wonder if, how's QCOM? QCOM's looking good. NVIDIA's looking good. I know it's red on the day, but it's a nice intraday action. It looks like the SPY is very much trying to hold green. Remember, the red-green move is at 606.44. So it's at, maybe it's pushing 607. If you need some key levels, let me see if we could get some other key levels. Coming right up to that shelf level I was telling you about. So on the SPY, that's about 606.75, which is roughly equivalent to that 6090 level on SPX. The options flow is now very strong. Look at that recovery. Look at that monstrous recovery. And then the Mag 7 has flattened out. So nice push. It did lead the start of this recovery, but since then, the aggressive call buying has slowed down a little bit. Price is getting back above. The longer it holds above 21,920, the more confident I get. Would love to see it go all the way. Let me just actually delete that. Oops, what did I just do? Full screen, sorry. Did I just... How do I get, okay, there we go. Next target would be whatever this midnight high was. So we had this pre-market 21,920. Next one is 21,069. And it is interesting that that's the high because it also happens to be my upside target. But I didn't even know that at first. So I would love for that to get hit. Would love for that to get hit. Let's go, baby. Let's go, baby. Long and strong, team. Long and strong. How many more? So I need this. So basically, I need the Qs to get up to 531. I don't even necessarily need, for me to hit my profit target, I don't even necessarily need a test of that red-green move. I'd just be happy with a test of 531. So I need the Qs to go about an additional $1, and I'll be a happy sailor. Mag 7 still looking good. SPX, there's some profit taking going on right now. Let's hope that there's not a ton because there's a huge flow into it. Then we kind of got stalled out as people decided to take some of their 0 DTE call profit. I don't blame them. I get it. That's a nice pump for sure. But I would just wish that they would just chill for a second and let the Qs go a bit higher. Now, I'm not out of the woods yet. My accounts, my positions are still a little bit dangerous. I got chopped up so much that I need to be a bit more careful here with what in the world I am doing. So if we can hold this 21,920, the longer we're above 20, I do believe my odds increase. I'm not even going for that big of a profit, honestly. Like economically I am because I have 5 contracts, but in terms of distance that I'm attempting to go, no, I'm not going for that much. I'm 26. That's 69. That's not bad. That's not even 50 points. Not even 50 points. All right, come on. I just need that follow through. Just keep going. SPX, we're now testing the key reaction level at 6090. Remember, 6,100 is pretty much the all-time high within a couple points. What was the actual all-time high? I should probably mark that out for today so we know. It is 6,181. That would be the new all-time high on the S&P 500. So key technical level, key psychological level, key price level being the all-time high. But I do want to let you know from an options perspective, the key level is actually higher, coming back to this Condor player at 6,110. All right. SPX flow is picking back up. I like to see that. Mag 7 flow, it's flat, so it's not going against me, but I would prefer it just continue higher and higher and higher. So now it's a waiting game. I just need to see if we're going to have follow through. I need more bullish aggression to continue to come into the market to push this higher, and just hoping that the market doesn't get smacked at this red to green move. I would love for the Qs to do their red to green move test, but I don't know. It got this pop at 1036, and since then we've just been flat, which is not giving me a real second to breathe. I'm back to being break even on my positions. Darn, not so good. Come on, Qs. Just one more buck. Just go from 530 to 531, maybe even another 50 cents to do that red-green test. How's the flow? I mean, it's just all going to come back. People just started locking in some profits on this pop right here. If they keep doing that, I'm screwed. Now, if people get aggressive and they're like, no, we want to play that red-green move as well, okay, maybe that's a different story. But right here, you could see nice bullish aggression that led to profit taking. You could see right where those calls started to get sold. Some people started to buy puts. Not exactly what I wanted to see. And we're about 9 minutes out from Trump talking. So who knows what kind of volatility that's going to add to all of this, which I'm not so happy. I mean, I'm swinging way too many contracts, and there's the unknown event of Trump. I mean, he might say something phenomenal that quickly gets it to rip in my favor. But Trump's talking in a couple minutes here. All right, let me make sure I have this. Yeah, so it's going in about 9 minutes. It looks like this is CNBC. Can we actually get it directly from them here? Oh, Trump. What are we doing today, brother? What are we doing today? All right. It's resuming shortly. All right. Is the audio on? Yeah, the audio is on. SPY's looking good, looking hungry. SPY's looking good. It's looking hungry. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. All right. If you're in the Discord, I just got Piper for you. If you're in the Discord, Piper just got there for you. Come on. SPY's trying to lead the way. It's attempting to, at least. Well, the Mag 7, I'm hoping we're not getting a shoulder thing. Come on, keep following through for us. Keep following through for us. Come on. I do appreciate. So we talked about this other bull flag breakout trade. That was a nice entry. You took a little bit of heat just now, and then it obviously is breaking in your favor. So that's nice. Come on. I just want some follow through. Let's just take out this 41. If we take out this intraday high, I think my odds really do shoot up. All right, what are we doing?
Well, as Carl just said, President Trump is set to make a special virtual address at Davos in just a few minutes. Megan Cassell is here. She's going to help us sort of figure out what we want to keep an eye out for. Megan.
Hey, David, good morning. So this is a chance for Trump to at least virtually address a gathering that he's been looming over all week long. He'll have prepared remarks and a Q&A with the audience. And the question for this speech is really what kind of tone President Trump strikes with this crowd. He famously is not a fan of multilateral organizations, the World Health Organization, World Trade Organization. He tends to shun international cooperation overall. And that's been a source of some apprehension in Davos this week. We've heard lots of reactions to tariffs, looming tariffs, and his first America First agenda, what that could mean for the global economy. But that said, this is also a group and an audience that Trump wants to impress. He cares deeply about market reaction and likely will not want to say anything today that wouldn't be well received. There's also a lot on his policy agenda that this crowd would welcome. Deregulation, especially on the energy front, the AI infrastructure rollout we've been talking about. So as he speaks, guys, keep an eye on how he straddles those two lanes and what signal he's really trying to send in this first major speech on the global stage. David?
Yeah. Interestingly, Megan, banks are one of the names or one of the groups that are definitely on the move today.
SPY's looking good. Q's got stalled out.
Capital One, Discover, JP Morgan, Ray J,
SPY
Visa, Wells.
options are stalled out. Q options are, or NASDAQ options, Mag 7s are actually tilting down.
About the potential to add fresh sanctions on Russia, something that actually got pretty well received by NATO today.
Absolutely. The Russia sanctions and the tariff threat on Russia yesterday as well. And that was something, Carl, that was a huge topic of discussion in Scott Bessent, the incoming Treasury Secretary's nomination hearing, confirmation hearing last week with sanctions. Bessent coming out really strong, saying he thought the last administration didn't come out strong enough on sanctions, saying we were too dependent on our adversaries for oil. That's why we weren't coming on stronger. So you can see the connection there with this sort of drill, drill, drill energy agenda with coming on stronger on sanctions as well. You're very right that that could be a topic. And mentioning the banks as well, there's been a lot of optimism in Davos. You're absolutely right. That's one group that is really thinking they'll benefit from a friendlier administration with Trump in the White House than they did under President Biden.
And, I know you keep track more closely than many, in fact, perhaps any do, in terms of what we're likely to get on tariffs. What's the latest chatter, whether it be 10% across the board, Mexico and Canada, not China, yes, China? Where are we, Megan?
There's a lot going on that front. February 1st is the date that we're watching. That's what he said is the deadline for when he wants to impose 25% on Canada and Mexico and 10% on China. My view, and from my understanding from reporting, is that that's still a negotiating point, that he's still trying to get Canada and Mexico to the table, potentially to reopen that USMCA trade deal a little bit earlier than the next summer deadline that's already been in place. So we're still watching that. He's likely to wait until his trade team is in place, and that could take a few weeks longer before we get any real movement, but I would definitely expect those tariff threats to continue.
All right, and you'll be watching them closely for us. Megan, thank you. Megan Casella from Washington, D.C. We're taking a look at a market here. It's sort of a mixed message. We got the NASDAQ down about 0.25%. The broader market, S&P, as you see, up ever so slightly. Apple shares are up for the first time in a bit. Stock is still down 10% year to date. We got a lot more coverage for you.
All right, we're a couple minutes out from this. We are a couple minutes out from Trump virtually addressing the World Economic Forum, currently taking place in Davos. Going down in a couple minutes, and I'm hoping he says something good so I can take my tendies and move on. But if the market does not react well to what he has to say, I am completely screwed. So basically, my finances are currently in the hands of Trump. And more specifically, Trump talking to the people, the lovely people in Davos. Not much movement since 1036. The SPY keeps going higher. We're right pinned at that key level of 6090, right where we just saw like breakout, resistance, 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 breakout, support, 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 consolidation, resistance. So we're right at 6090. Remember, the all-time high is only 10 points away, roughly $1 on the SPY. It's just above 6,100. Key technical level, key psychological level, key options level, but the real options level of the day to the upside is 6,110, and then to the one to the bottom is 6,060. So that's what I'm personally kind of watching. There's a little bit of enthusiasm going into the start of this. You could see we got this nice pump from 10:30 until about 10:45. So there was 15 minutes of strong bullish aggression in the options market, leading the SPY higher. The NASDAQ, or really the Mag 7, got a similar situation. There was from 10:10 to about 1040, a 30-minute, and now it's a bit choppy. It's not really bullish. It's not really bearish. So kind of watching that. I mean, it's setting up for a nice potential breakout, but this is kind of a binary event of really how's the market going to react to what Trump has to say. Are they going to be friendly? Are they not going to be friendly? What's he going to say at all? As CNBC was alluding to, he does very much grade an aspect of his presidency on how well the stock market performs. I don't think he is really a person who's like the most interested in like getting the I think he actively wants the market to go up. I don't think he doesn't think about it. I think he thinks about it a lot. So I don't think he's here to like kind of blow this up or by any means, but we're gonna find out. We have that. I don't know which CNBC is actually going to be playing this, so I'm just going to keep... dude, we almost got going, then it got smacked. Dude, this is not giving me a second to breathe.
Make money.
Good Thursday morning. Welcome to Money Movers. I'm Carl Quintanilla with Leslie Picker here at Post 9 of the New York Stock Exchange. We are awaiting remarks from the president, who will speak virtually at Davos in a few moments and then take questions from a number of business leaders. We will bring you there live when that begins. We're looking at some pictures already of the line to get into the room where that will be broadcast. Meantime, markets close to session highs. Dow's up 180. S&P's actually flipped positive in the last few moments as we await those comments from the president. Let's get to Sarah Eisen, who's been, of course, on the ground in Davos all week, where this new administration and the economic outlook have dominated much of the conversation. As you said last hour, Sarah.
Oh, yes. It is all about Trump. Even if he is not here, certainly his presidency looms large.
Take out
for the American
4150.
CEOs who have been expressing so much optimism about what it could mean for the economy, to the European
SPY's
CEOs
liking it.
who
Tech is
sound a little bit
stalled.
more cautious,
How crazy is that? Look at the SPY just keeps going. While Tech's like, we don't know.
To some of the other world leaders
we don't know.
who are talking about tariffs and waiting to hear
Microsoft's
from
actually
President
going the
Trump
wrong
in
way.
this address. Here's what we've heard on CNBC. We've been talking
Apple's
all week
going the
long
wrong way.
to chief executives.
Nvidia's
about
trying to hold.
what
Dude,
Trump
SPY
coming
is
back
just
in
moving.
means to their business and to the overall economy. Here's what they've said.
Remember, all-time highs right there.
I've been here many times before.
Come on,
and
give
I'm
us
really
Trump.
Struck by the level of optimism about the U.S. And it is around deregulation. It's around unleashing the energy market. It's around maintaining the U.S. edge on AI. And I believe in all of that. And I believe that there'll be animal spirits.
One of the key learnings for me these days has
Dollar's
been the
coming down a
optimism
little bit.
that we see, especially in enterprise customers. I think
VIX is looking weak, which is
drive growth,
kind of hand in hand with the SPY exploding right now.
So we are optimistic.
Come on,
about
nice,
the impact that some of these actions are going to be
nice breakout
on the economy and on the business.
The U.S. economy is in pretty good shape, Andrew, as we head into this new administration. But I think the thing that I'm encouraged about, and as I talk to clients, I'm finding clients are really encouraged about, it seems like, and this is true in the U.S., it's true with the new administration.
From our standpoint and from my standpoint, we want this administration to succeed. This
new intraday high on the
Qs.
Qs.
Country does well, business does well.
I think the difference is the feeling is they're off to a much faster start this time because they've been through it before. They have their executive orders lined up. And so I think there's a more immediacy the reaction of the international community.
Keep it going.
This stuff's coming at us right away.
Keep it going.
And even though there was a lot more hand-wringing over tariffs the last time around, I would say.
New high, new intraday high on the SPY, new intraday high on the
Qs.
Qs.
For instance, heavy manufacturing in China that sell into the U.S., somewhat politicized in the U.S.-China relationship.
Take out
even
55.
he was saying, look, as long as it's applied uniformly to all the companies, we'll be fine. And you're hearing a lot more sort of acceptance of tariffs, perhaps as an effective national security measure. That's something I've heard from a lot of CEOs as well. So there's just a lot more broad acceptance of Trump this time around. Remember, he came to Davos a few years ago. This time he's coming in virtually. Obviously, a big week, the week of the inauguration. And of course, everyone's already talking about, Carl and Leslie, whether he'll be here in person next year.
That's a good question, Sarah. And it'll be interesting to see what his remarks focus on in just a few moments' time. I'm curious if, the conversations that you're having with people behind the scene mirrors what they're saying on TV. Is it that same optimism and jubilance, or are there a little, is there a little bit more skepticism as people
Options
are,
flow on the
not
S&P 500 still pretty strong. Mag 7 still pretty indecisive since 1040.
The only thing that I hear about is, okay, well, now they have to execute. They have a pretty ambitious growth agenda. They want to lower the deficit at the same time as growing GDP.
All right, this might be a little bit better. You know what I should do?
Mr. President,
hello.
What great honor. What great honor and pleasure to welcome you back to the Davos community. Just 4 days into your new mandate, we highly appreciate your presence with us today. We wish you all the best as you take on your critical work ahead. The global challenges we face today are monumental. The importance of American leadership and your personal leadership in this regard is fundamental and paramount. We are here to hear your vision and policies related to revitalizing the economy and addressing the global challenges. As you might expect, Mr. President, your return to office and your forthcoming policies have been at the focus of our discussions this week. The discussions among 3,000 political and business leaders from over 130 countries who came together here in Davos. We look forward hearing first from you and then to the follow-up discussion with business leaders moderated by my colleague Børge Brende. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Well, thank you very much, Klaus, and hello to everyone in beautiful Davos. This has been a truly historic week in the United States. 3 days ago, I took the oath of office, and we began the golden age of America. The recent presidential election was won by millions of votes, and all seven, every one of them, all seven swing states. It was a massive mandate from the American people like hasn't been seen in many years, and some of the political pundits, even some of my so-called enemies, said it was the most consequential election victory in 129 years. That's quite nice. What the world has witnessed in the past 72 hours is nothing less than a revolution of common sense. Our country will soon be stronger, wealthier, and more united than ever before, and the entire planet will be more peaceful and prosperous as a result of this incredible momentum and what we're doing and going to do. My administration is acting with unprecedented speed to fix the disasters we've inherited from a totally inept group of people and to solve every single crisis facing our country. This begins with confronting the economic chaos caused by the failed policies of the last administration. Over the past 4 years, our government racked up $8 trillion in wasteful deficit spending and inflicted nation-wrecking energy restrictions, crippling regulations, and hidden taxes like never before. The result is the worst inflation crisis in modern history and sky-high interest rates for our citizens and even throughout the world. Food prices and the price of almost every other thing known to mankind went through the roof. President Biden totally lost control of what was going on in our country, but in particular with our high inflation economy and at our border. Through its policies, total government spending this year is $1.5 trillion higher than was projected to occur when I left office just 4 years ago. Likewise, the cost of servicing the debt is more than 230% higher than was projected in 2020. The inflation rate we are inheriting remains 50% higher than the historic target. It was the highest inflation probably in the history of our country. That's why from the moment I took office, I've taken rapid action to reverse each and every one of these radical left policies that created this calamity, in particular with immigration, crime, and inflation. On day one, I signed an executive order directing every member of my cabinet to marshal all powers at their disposal to defeat inflation and reduce the cost of daily life. I imposed a federal hiring freeze, a federal regulation freeze, a foreign aid freeze, and I created the new Department of Government Efficiency.
Bitcoin taking off. Come on.
And incredibly
Send this
wasteful
to the moon.
Green New Deal. I call it the Green New Scam. Withdrew from the one-sided Paris Climate Accord and ended the insane and costly electric vehicle mandate. We're going to let people buy the car they want to buy. I declared a national energy emergency, and that's so important. National energy emergency to unlock the liquid gold under our feet and pave the way for rapid approvals of new energy infrastructure. The United States has the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we're going to use it. Not only will this reduce the cost of virtually all goods and services, it'll make the United States a manufacturing superpower and the world capital of artificial intelligence and crypto. My administration has also begun the largest deregulation campaign in history, far exceeding even the record-setting efforts of my last term. In total, the Biden administration imposed $50,000 in additional regulatory costs on the average American household over the last 4 years. I have promised to eliminate 10 old regulations for every new regulation, which will soon put many thousands of dollars back in the pockets of American families.
They didn't like that regulation talk.
Our majorities in the House and Senate, which we also took along with the presidency, are going to pass the largest tax cut in American history, including massive tax
bring
cuts
it back.
for workers
Make it a
and
fake
family,
out.
and big tax cuts for domestic producers and manufacturers. And we're working with the Democrats on getting an extension of the original Trump tax cuts, as you probably know, by just reading any paper. My message to every business in the world is very simple. Come make your product in America, and we will give you among the lowest taxes of any nation on earth. We're bringing them down very substantially, even from the original Trump tax cuts. But if you don't make your product in America, which is your prerogative, then very simply you will have to pay a tariff, differing amounts, but a tariff which will direct hundreds of billions of dollars and even trillions of dollars into our treasury to strengthen our economy and pay down debt. Under the Trump administration, there will be no better place on earth to create jobs, build factories, or grow a company than right here in the good old USA. Already Americans' economic, you can see this, I think, maybe even in your wonderful, wonderful room that you're all gathered together, so many of my friends, but Americans, the economic confidence is soaring like we haven't seen in many, many decades, maybe not at all. Upon my election, it was just announced that small business optimism skyrocketed by 41 points in a single month. That's the highest ever. There's never been anything like that. SoftBank has announced between a $100 and $200 billion investment in the U.S. economy because of the election result. And just 2 days ago, Oracle, SoftBank, and OpenAI announced a $500 billion investment in AI infrastructure. Other companies likewise have announced billions and billions and billions, adding up to trillions of investment in America, in the United States. And it's also reported today in
Wow.
the papers that
This is
Saudi
going
Arabia
haywire.
will be investing at least
Order
$600 billion
filled.
in
Go,
America. But
go,
I'll be asking
go,
the Crown
go.
Prince, who's a fantastic guy, to round it out to around $1 trillion. I think they'll do that because we've
The
been
Saudi
very
news is
good
why
to
that just
them.
popped.
And I'm also going to ask Saudi Arabia and OPEC to bring down the cost of oil. You got to bring it down, which, frankly, I'm surprised they didn't do before the election. That didn't show a lot of love by them not doing it. I was a little surprised by that. If the price came down, the Russia-Ukraine war would end immediately. Right now, the price is high enough that that war will continue. You got to bring down the oil price. You got to end that war. They should have done it long ago. They're very responsible, actually, to a certain extent, for what's taking place. Millions of lives are being lost. With oil prices going down, I'll demand that interest rates drop immediately, and likewise, they should be dropping all over the
Send
world.
it, brother.
Interest rates should follow
Send
us.
it, brother.
All over. The progress that you're seeing is happening because of our historic victory in a recent presidential election, one that has become quite well known throughout the
Send
world.
it.
I think a lot of things are happening to a lot
Send
of
it.
countries. They say
Send
that there's
it.
light shining all over the world since the election. And
Come on,
even
Trump pump.
countries that we
Trump
aren't
pump.
particularly
Go for it,
friendly
brother.
with, are happy because they understand what
Get
there
it,
is
brother.
a future
Pump
and
it.
how great the future
Pump
will be
it,
under our
brother.
leadership. America is back and open for business. And this week, I'm also taking swift action to stop the invasion at our southern border. They
Order
allowed
filled.
people to come in at levels that nobody's ever seen before. It was ridiculous. I decided and declared to do, and very, very importantly, a national emergency on our border, immediately halted all entry of illegal border crossers, of which there were many, and began promptly returning the illegal trespassers back to the place from which they came. That action, as you've probably seen, has
pushing.
already started very strongly. I've deployed active duty U.S. military and National Guard troops to the border to assist in repelling the invasion. It was really an invasion. We will not allow our territory to be violated. After 4 long years, the United States is strong and sovereign and a beautiful nation. Once again, it's a strong, sovereign nation. In addition, I'm pleased to report that America is also a free
volatility's
nation
picking
once
up
again.
like no other.
On day one, I signed an executive order to stop all government censorship. No longer will our government label the speech of our own citizens as misinformation or disinformation, which are the favorite words of censors and those who wish to stop the free exchange of ideas and, frankly, progress. We have saved free speech in America, and we've
Hear,
saved
hear.
it strongly. With another historic executive order this week, I also ended the weaponization of law enforcement against the American people and, frankly, against politicians, and restored the fair,
No,
equal,
turn it back
and
around.
impartial rule of law. My administration has taken action to abolish all discriminatory diversity, equity, and inclusion nonsense. And these are policies that were absolute nonsense throughout the government and the private sector. With the recent yet somewhat unexpected great Supreme Court decision just made, America will once again become a merit-based country. You have to hear that word, merit-based country. And I've made it official, an official policy of the United States, that there are only 2 genders, male and female. And we will have no men participating in women's sports, and transgender operations, which became the rage, will occur very rarely. Finally, as we restore common sense in America, we're moving quickly to bring
Market
back strength
dumped,
and
pumped.
peace and
Now we're giving
stability
2/3
abroad.
of that pump
I'm
back.
also going to ask all NATO nations to increase defense spending to 5% of GDP,
5 minute, 10 minute,
which
30
is
minute,
what
4
it should
hour.
have been years
5
ago.
minute, 10 minute, 30
It was
minute,
only
4
at
hour.
2%, and most nations didn't pay until I came along. I insisted that they pay, and they did, because the United States was really paying the difference at that time, and it was unfair to the United States. But many, many things have been unfair for many years to the United States. Before even taking office, my team negotiated a ceasefire agreement in the Middle East, which wouldn't have happened without us, as I think most of the people in the room know. Earlier this week, the hostages began to return to their families. They are returning, and it's a beautiful sight, and they'll be coming in more and more. They started coming back on Sunday. Our efforts to secure a peace settlement between Russia and Ukraine are now hopefully underway. It's so important to get that done. That is an absolute killing field. Millions of soldiers are being killed. Nobody's seen anything like it since World War II. They're laying dead all over the flat fields. It's a flat field farmland, and there's millions of Russians and millions of Ukrainians. Nobody's seen anything like it since World War II. It's time to end it. And here in America, we have big events coming up. Next year, we have the 250th anniversary of America's founding. I'm so honored to be president during that. That's been a big event. They've been talking about it for 10 years. We also have the World Cup, and I understand Gianni's in the room. Infantino, he was very instrumental in helping us get it. He's there with you someplace, I think, and I want to thank him for that. And then we have the Olympics coming up, which I was instrumental in getting also in my first term. And who would have known that by skipping a term, I would get the Olympics? I was upset. I said, you know, I got the Olympics to come and I won't be president. But it turned out through a stroke of luck, or whatever you might call it, that I'm going to be president during the World Cup and the Olympics and the 250th anniversary. So that's going to be 3 big events. And we've accomplished more in less than 4 days. We have really been working 4 days than other administrations have accomplished in 4 years. And we're just getting started. It's really an amazing thing to see, and the spirit and the light over our country has been incredible. Under the last administration, our nation has suffered greatly, but we're going to bring it back and make it greater, bigger, stronger, better than ever before. I want to thank everybody for being with you. I would have been there myself, except the inauguration was 2 days ago. I thought it might be a little bit quick to make it the first stop, but we'll get there one day. We hope to get there. But I do appreciate, I heard the audience is fantastic, and many of my friends are in the audience, and I will be taking questions now from some very distinguished people. Thank you all very much.
The spy's trying to go, but tech is looking weak. And options are telling us nothing.
Thank you.
Spy's trying to go.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for that very powerful speech. And I think you could hear the applause all the way from Davos to the White House. But next year it will be even better, because then you can get the applause here in Davos. So we wish you welcome to our village next year. We hope to see you.
Thank you very much.
So we also know, Mr. President, that you open up for interaction here. We have a great panel with some of the most distinguished business people in the world. Let me start with someone that you know really well, that I think is almost a neighbor of you in Florida. Mr. Steve Schwartzman, Chairman, CEO, and co-founder of Blackstone Group. So, Steve, floor is yours.
Well, Mr. President, I'm sure the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia will be really glad you gave this speech today. You've had the busiest 4 days that anybody can imagine, and congratulations for that. My question is about some of the things I've observed here at Davos. It's a terrific forum. I've met lots of people, as usual. I think I've been here 30 years. And a lot
Spy's
of the
trying to get going here.
European business people have expressed enormous frustration with the regulatory regime.
Potentially heading to a new all-time high in the S&P 500.
And they attribute slower growth rates here because of the numerous factors, but especially because of regulations.
Anytime they say regulations, the market takes a bit of a hit.
Different approach in this area. And if you could explain the theory of what you're doing.
Potential trend line breakout.
How you're going to
look for the intraday high, 21,946, 15 points away.
I'd appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. And congratulations, Steve. You're a friend of mine, but on a great career. You have had an amazing career and it continues. I just want to congratulate you. Very inspirational to a lot
Yesterday's
of people.
high, 607.82. We're at 607.50 right
you
now.
mentioned specifically that I've also had a lot of friends and leaders of countries. I've gotten to know them all my first term, and
We're
a
getting
little bit
real
during
close
this
to the all-time
period
high.
of 4 years, and know them well, like them a lot, but they're very frustrated because of the time everything seems to take to get approved. Environmental impact statements for things that you shouldn't even have to do that, and many, many other ways that it takes. And I'm going to give you a quick little example. In the private life, my beautiful private life, before I had all these things happening, the world is a little different. I had a nice, simple life. You knew that. But when I had that simple life, I did projects, and I had a big project in Ireland, and it had to get approval.
Options flows
on
pumping.
Something that would have made it even better. And I got the approval from Ireland in a period of a week. And it was a very, very, very efficient, good approval. And they informed me, though, the problem is you're going to have to get it from the EU, and we think that'll take 5 to 6 years. And they said, you have to be kidding. And this was before politics. And I said, wait a minute. It's not that important. I don't want to go 5 or 6 years, but it would have been a big investment. It would have been nice, and it would have been good for the project. And I sent the people to the EU to see if they could speed it up, and basically it was a 5 or 6 year wait just to get a simple approval that Ireland gave me in a period of literally not much more than a week. And I realized right then, that was the first time I really was involved with the EU, but I realized right then that's a problem. And I didn't even bother applying to do it. Or if I did, I pulled it very quickly. I have to be very accurate because I don't want to be criticized. He did apply, actually. No, I want to be very accurate. So I don't think I did, but if I did, I pulled it very quickly. It was just something you couldn't wait 5 years or 6 years to get an approval. So a lot of, in a very big business sense, a lot of people are claiming that's the problem. From the standpoint of America, the EU treats us very, very unfairly, very badly. They have a large tax that we know about, and a VAT tax, and it's a very substantial one. They don't take essentially don't take our farm products, and they don't take our cars, yet they send cars to us by the millions.
There we go.
They put tariffs on things that we want to do. Like, for instance, I think they actually, in terms of these are non-economic or non-monetary tariffs, and those are very bad, and they make it very difficult to bring products into Europe, and yet they expect to be selling, and they do sell their products in the United States. So we have, hundreds of billions of dollars of deficits with the EU, and nobody's happy with it, and we're going to do something about it, but nobody's happy with it. So I think the EU has to speed up their process. Friends of mine that are in some of the nations within
Qualcomm taking off,
great people, they
Meta
want to be able to compete
Netflix
better,
fine.
And you can't compete
Coin dropping,
when you can't go through the
MSCI
approval
dropping,
process fast. There's no
NVIDIA.
reason why it can't go faster. So,
Microsoft pump.
I'm trying to be constructive because I love Europe. I love the countries of Europe, but the process is a very cumbersome one. And they do treat the United States of America very, very unfairly with the VAT taxes and all of the other taxes they impose. One other, just to finish up, I got a call from the head of a major airline, one of the biggest airlines in the world, and he said, sir, could you help us? What? Landing in Europe is brutal. They charge us fees for everything, and it's so unfair. I said, how does it compare to China? He said, it's much worse. And the other thing, as you know, they took court cases with Apple, and they supposedly won a case that most people didn't think was much of a case. They won 15 or 16 billion from Apple. They won billions from Google. I think they're after Facebook for billions and billions. These are American companies, whether you like them or not. They're American companies.
Naming tech companies, pump tech.
That. And that's, as far as
Pump
I'm
tech.
concerned, it's a form of taxation. So we have some very big complaints with the EU. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We'll now go to one of your friends in the EU, Patrick Pouyanné. He's the chairman and CEO of Total Energies. I guess you have a question ready, Patrick, for the president.
Mr. President, as we understand, energy is at the top of your agenda, and it's an honor for me to represent the energy industry tonight. In this panel, Total Energies is indeed the fourth largest oil and gas and electricity company in the world. I will not ask you a question about the oil price. It's quite clear what you expect from us. I will go to gas more. And our company is the largest #1 exporter LNG from the US company. We are a strong contributor to, and we invest in a mammoth LNG projects in Texas, $20 billion. It's far from 200, but it's $20 billion. And we contribute with that to security of supply to Europe.
Order filled.
This LNG to Europe. Some experts fear that if there are too many projects developed in the US on LNG, this could have an inflationary impact on the US domestic gas price. And they recommend a pause on these projects. I would ask you the following question. What are your views about such a pause on investments on LNG in the US? What would happen if you would observe an increased domestic gas price because of these exports? And final question, which is important for Europe, would you agree to guarantee security of supply of US LNG to Europe?
Well, on the last part of your question, yes, I would. I would make sure that you get it. If we make a deal, we make a deal, you'll get it. Because a lot of people do have that problem. They make a deal and then it can't get supplied because of war-type problems and other problems. So we would absolutely do that. LNG is very interesting because when I took office for the first term, one of the first things I looked at was there were two very massive plants in Louisiana, a state that has been very good to me, won it by many, many points. And I felt strongly indebted to it, actually. And they said there are two plants that have been under environmental consideration for more than 10 years. And they were costing, as you say, you know how expensive those plants are, but they were costing like $12 billion and I think 14 or 15 billion. But they couldn't get their permits. They were in review for
go baby
years,
go
many
go
years,
baby go
like
Trump pump.
A decade or more. And I said, so ridiculous. I know so
Trump
much
pump?
about that because in the construction industry, I had to go through it too, but I got good at it after a while. But I saw the projects, and you're talking about a total investment of 25 to $30 billion, and it looked like it was going to end. They couldn't get
new
their
intraday
permits.
high.
And I got them done.
We're
in
about to
less
hit a
than
new
week.
all-time high right here.
It was done completely. 6,100.81. To
6,100.81.
announce that it was done, the countries, largely countries, Japan was involved and another country.
Got to take out
some very big investors.
607.82 on
couldn't believe
SPY.
it. They actually couldn't believe it. And I said, just do yourself one favor. Don't pay any consultants, because the only one that got it done was me. I got it done because it was the right thing to do for the U.S. and for the world, but the consultants had nothing to do with it. You know, the consultants go in and they say, give us millions of dollars because Trump did it. Nobody called me about it. I just heard it was a problem for years. And I got it done because it was the right thing to do for the U.S. and the right thing to do
Mag
for
7
beyond.
options.
It had to do with energy.
S&P 500's flat.
So I think it's very important. I think I disagree with one. I think the more that you do, the lower the price is going to go. And what I'd like to see is rapid approvals. We're going to give very rapid approvals in the United States, like with the AI plants, talking to many people want to build them. That's going to be a very big thing. We're going to build electric generating facilities. They are going to build. I'm going to get them the approval. Under emergency declaration, I can get the approvals done myself without having to go through years of waiting. And the big problem is we need double the energy we currently have in the United States. Can you imagine? For AI to really be as big as we want to have it, because it's a very competitive, it'll be very competitive with China.
New
and
high
others.
incoming.
So I'm going to give emergency declarations so that they can start building them almost immediately. And I think it was largely my idea because nobody thought this was possible. It wasn't that they were not smart, because they're the smartest, but I told them that what I want you to do is build your electric generating plant right next to your plant as a separate building connected. And they said, wow, you're kidding. And I said, no, I'm not kidding. You don't have to hook into the grid, which is old and, could be taken out. If it's taken out, they wouldn't have any way to get any electricity. So we are going to allow them to go on a very rapid basis to build their plant, build the electric generating plant. They can fuel it with anything they want, and they may have coal as a backup, good, clean coal. If there were a problem with a pipe coming in, as an example, you're going with gas, oil or gas, and a pipe gets blown up or for some reason doesn't work, there are some companies in the U.S. that have coal sitting right by the plant, so that if there's an emergency, they can go to that short-term basis and use our very clean coal. So that's something else that a lot of people didn't even know about. But nothing can destroy coal, not the weather, not a bomb, nothing. It might make it a little smaller, might make it a little different shape, but coal is very strong as a backup. It's a great backup to have that facility, and it wouldn't cost much more money. And we have more coal than anybody. We also have more oil and gas than anybody. So we're going to make it so that the plants will have their own electric generating facilities attached right to their plant. They don't have to worry about a utility. They don't have to worry about anything. And we're going to get very rapid approvals.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. President. We'll now go to another CEO that you know very well, Brian Moynihan, the CEO and Chair of Bank of America.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, and congratulations and obviously an eventful week for you and your family. If you remember 5 years ago, you came here and we walked among 150 CEOs from all over the world and you engaged with them about your policies and your procedures. This year you're not here, and yet this week was eventful from the orders that you mentioned earlier, literally a wave of orders coming out on immigration, on trade, and many other matters. And so as a representative of the United States here, we got a lot of questions about what does all this mean and how would the president
turn it
square
around,
this
brother.
with his clear focus on growth, prosperity, market growth, stock market growth, a good bond market, and bringing down prices. So how do you think about the impact of all these orders and how fast they come out and how you're going to balance them with that scorecard of being successful in both continuing GDP growth, bringing down inflation, and also having a good stock price appreciation for the American citizen?
Yeah, how are you going to pump the market?
I think it's going to actually bring down inflation. It's going to bring up jobs. We're going to have a lot of jobs. We're going to have a lot of companies moving in. Brian, we're at 21%. It was at 40%, and I got it down to 21%, the corporate tax. And it was actually, if you look at state and city, it was in many cases much higher than 40%. I got it down to 21%. And now we're going to bring it down from 21 to 15% if, there's a big if you make your product in the U.S. So we're going to have the lowest, just about the lowest rate. It'll be, the 21 is on the low side worldwide. The 15 is about as low as it gets. And by far the lowest of a large country, a large, rich, powerful country by far, not even a contest. So we're going to bring it down to 15% if you make your product in the USA. So that's going to create a tremendous buzz. We're also probably going back to the 1 year deduction where we deduct, we did that originally, and that was amazing what the impact that had, the 1 year deduction, which built up over a period of time, and then it expires.
Come on, pump it again, brother. Stop with this. Stop with these games.
Of the Trump tax plan. We have to get Democrats to approve it. But, if the Democrats didn't approve it, I don't know how they can survive with about a 45% tax increase, because that's what it would be. And so I think they're going to be. We've been working along with them pretty well. I think it's very hard for a political group to say, let's charge people 45% more. So I think we're in good shape. But we're actually doing a reduction for business and small businesses where you're going to bring it down to 15%, which is really something. And by the way, speaking of you, and you've done a fantastic job, but I hope you start opening your bank to conservatives, because many conservatives complain that the banks are not allowing them to do business within the bank. And that included a place called Bank of America. They don't take conservative business. And I don't know if the regulators mandated that because of Biden or what, but you and Jamie and everybody, I hope you're going to open your banks to conservatives because what you're doing is wrong.
Wow.
Wow. I'll say that your friend Gianni said hello, told me to tell you hello, and we look forward to sponsoring the World Cup.
Calling out Bank of
Both this summer
America.
for the club and next year, so thank you for getting that for the United States.
Thank you very much, Brian.
Thank you, Mr. President. We'll now go to Anna Butin. She's the executive chairman of Banco Santander, one of the big European banks, and also in the U.S. So, Anna.
Come on, break out.
Mr. President, congratulations on a historic victory. I believe you don't know me as well as my fellow panelists, so a few words. Santander is one of the largest banks in the world by number of customers, 170 million. That's more than my friend Brian or my friend Jamie have. And those...
Just talking some shit.
They fixed the regulation.
That's coming, that's coming.
That was cheeky.
We're a big investor in the United States. We have many million customers, 12,000 employees. We're one of the largest auto lenders. And we recently launched a fully digital bank called Open Bank.
Come on,
we
break
strongly
out.
believe banks have a
Break
pivotal role
out.
in the economy, and we can accelerate growth and help many more customers. That's what we're doing in the United States. So, as Brian pointed out, we very much welcome your focus on deregulation and reducing bureaucracy.
Deregulation.
So my question is, what are your
Good word.
priorities in this regard, and how fast is this going to happen? Thank you very much.
I think it's going to, thank you and congratulations. I know very much about your bank, and you've done a fantastic job. Congratulations. We are going to move very quickly. We've moved very quickly. We've done things in the last 3 days that nobody thought were possible to do in years. And it's all taking effect. It's going to have a huge impact on the economy, a huge positive impact. Money was being wasted on crazy things. I mean, the Green New Deal was such a total disgrace, how that was perpetrated. And it was conceived of by people that were average students, less than average students, I might add, and never even took a course in energy or the environment. It was just a game. Remember, the world was going to end in 12 years? Remember that? Well, the 12 years has come and gone. It was going to end. It was going to all foam into earth. But, you know, the time has come. These people, and they really scared the Democrats large. I can't say the Republicans. The Republicans maybe could have fought harder to stop it, but it's been a tremendous waste of money. You know, during my 4 years, we had the cleanest air, we had the cleanest water, and yet we had the most productive economy in the history of our country. We had the most productive economy. Until COVID came, we had the most productive in the history of our country by far. And actually, you could look worldwide. We were beating everybody from China to everybody else. So, and we think we really now, with what we have learned and all of the other things that have taken place, we think we can even far surpass that, actually far surpass it. But we do, one thing we're going to be demanding is we're going to be demanding respect from other nations. Canada, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. We're not going to have that anymore. We can't do it. I don't know if it's good for them. As you probably know, I say you can always become a state. And if you're a state, we won't have a deficit. We won't have to tariff you, et cetera, et cetera. But Canada has been very tough to deal with over the years, and it's not fair that we should have a $200 billion or $250 billion deficit. We don't need them to make our cars, and they make a lot of them. We don't need their lumber because we have our own forests, et cetera, et cetera. We don't need their oil and gas. We have more than anybody. So, you know, just as an example, with Mexico, we're dealing with Mexico, I think, very well. And we're just, you know, we just want to be treated fairly with other nations because there's hardly a nation in the world, and I blame this on us, and I blame it on politicians that, for some reason, mostly it's stupidity, but you could also say other reasons, but mostly stupidity. They've allowed other nations to take advantage of the U.S., and we can't allow that to happen anymore. You know, we have debt. It's a very small debt when you compare it to value, the value of the assets that we have. But we don't want to do that. We want to just have
Come on.
be obliterated.
Trump
and we'll
pump.
Be able
I
to
was
do
so
that
close before.
fairly
7
rapidly.
points is all I needed.
And a lot of good
7
things are going to
points.
happen. And honestly, good things are going to happen for the world, and good things are going to happen for the people that are dealing with us, allies and beyond allies. One thing very important, I really would like to be able to meet with President Putin soon and get that war ended. And that's not from the standpoint of economy or anything else. It's from the standpoint of millions of lives are being wasted. Beautiful young people are being shot in the battlefield. You know, the bullet, very flat land, as I said, and the bullet goes, there's no hiding. And a bullet, the only thing going to stop the bullet is a human body. And you have to see, I've seen pictures of what's taken place. It's a carnage, and we really have to stop that war. That war is horrible. And I'm not talking economy. I'm not talking economics. I'm not talking about natural resource. I'm just talking about there's so many young people being killed in this war. And that's not including the people that have been killed as the cities are being, knocked down building by building. So we really should get that stopped. Likewise, in the Middle East, I think we've made a lot of progress in the Middle East, and I think that's gonna come along pretty well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we know that the most consequential relationship in the world is between the U.S. and
just a
China.
little bit more. There we go. Yes.
Of the global economy.
Yes. $20,000 locked in. The Trump pump is here. Thank you, President Trump. I do appreciate the $20,000. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
See the relationship between the
Hell
U.S.
yeah.
and China in the next
That's
4
how
years
you do it, folks.
under your
You
leadership.
play the Trump pump.
He called me, but I see it very good. I think that we're going to have a very good relationship.
Look at that.
All we want is fairness. We just
20K.
want a level playing field. We don't want to take advantage. We've
20,000.
been having massive
Look at this.
deficits.
Look
with
at that.
China.
20K locked in.
Biden allowed it to get out of hand. He's $1.1 trillion deficit. It's ridiculous. And it's just an unfair relationship. And we have to make it just fair. We don't have to make it phenomenal. We have to make it a fair relationship. Right now, it's not a fair relationship. The deficit is massive, as it is with other countries, a lot of Asian countries, actually. But we have deficits that are very big, and we can't keep doing that. So we're not going to keep doing that. But I like President Xi very much. I've always liked him.
Almost got a new all-time high on SPX.
It was very strained with COVID coming out of Wuhan. Obviously, that strained it. I'm sure it strained it with a lot of people, but that strained our relationship. But we always had a great relationship, I would say, and we look forward to doing very well with China and getting along with China. Hopefully, China can help us stop the war with, in particular, Russia, Ukraine. They have a great deal of power over that situation, and we'll work with them. And I mentioned that during our phone conversation with President Xi, and hopefully we could work together and get that stopped. We'd like to see denuclearization. In fact, with President Putin, prior to an election result, which was frankly ridiculous, we were talking about denuclearization of our two countries, and China would have come along. China has a much smaller right now nuclear armament than us, or field than us, but they're going to be catching it at some point over the next 4 or 5 years. And I will tell you that President Putin really liked the idea of cutting way back on nuclear. And I think the rest of the world, we would have gotten them to follow. And China would have come along, too. China also liked it. Tremendous amounts of money are being spent on nuclear. And the destructive capability is something that we don't even want to talk about today because you don't want to hear it. It's too depressing. So we want to see if we can denuclearize, and I think that's very possible. And I can tell you that President Putin wanted to do it. He and I wanted to do it. We had a good conversation with China. They would have been involved, and that would have been an unbelievable thing for the planet.
Mr. President, when you're back here in Davos next year, will there be then a peace agreement with Ukraine and Russia by then?
Well, you're going to have to ask Russia. Ukraine is ready to make a deal. just so you understand, this is a war that should have never started. If I were president, it would never have started. This is a war that should have never, ever been started. And it wasn't started during there was never even talk about it. I knew that it was the apple of President Putin's eye, but I also knew that there was no way he was going in, and he wasn't going to go in. And then when I was out, bad things happened, bad things were said, a lot of stupidity all around, and you end up with what you have. Now you have all these bombed out cities. They look like demolition sites with many people killed. I think the thing that you'll see about Ukraine is that far more people have died than is being reported. And I've seen that. But
That's
far,
not so
far
bueno.
more people have died. When you look at a city that's become a demolition site where big buildings have been collapsed by missiles hitting them and everything else, and they say one person was slightly injured. No, many people were killed. Those are big buildings. I was surprised at how that was my business. These are buildings that go 2 and 3 blocks long. They're 20 stories high. They're big, powerful buildings, and they were knocked down, and there were a lot of people in those buildings. That announced that 2 people were injured. That's not true. So I think you're going to find that there were many more people killed in Ukraine in the Ukraine war than anybody has any idea. But if you look now, so many of the people being killed are soldiers just facing each other with guns, rifles, and drones, the new form of warfare, drones. And it's a very sad thing to see. And when you see pictures of the fields that I see, nobody wants to see it. You'll never be the same.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. On behalf of all the 3,000 participants here in Davos, we really underline that joining us the third day in your presidency, live taking questions here is so appreciated, and we are already ready for receiving you next year in person. So thank you very much, and all the best from Davos.
Thank you.
Thank
you very much.
All the best from Davos. Well, there you have it. There you have it. I was able to catch a little bit of action off of that Trump pump, as you guys saw. A little bit of excitement right there, and I almost damn near top-ticked it. That was just pure luck. But I mean, it didn't go much higher, but I was able to lock in my 20 grand. My bots are still trading. I'm working on them. They're still in their testing phase, but happy to report locked in another 20K on the day. Was it luck? Was it skill? I don't know, folks. At this point, I can't even tell the difference. I think it's a skill to be so freaking lucky, if you ask me. Before I let you guys go, just so you know, 5-minute, 10-minute, 30-minute, 4-hour, all bullish. 5-minute, 10-minute, 30-minute, 4-hour, all bullish on the NQ as well. With respect to options flow, the Mag 7 did pop up until 10:50, but now it's taking a bit of a dip, and a very different situation on the SPY, which had a strong pop from 10:30 up until now, giving a little bit back in the past couple minutes, but looking a bit stronger. So a bit wonky in the options flow, which is kind of leading to this rejection at yesterday's high. So even though the SPY took out the high from yesterday, SPX did not hit its high from yesterday. Remember, there's a little bit of a difference between these guys. Highly correlated, but not the exact same thing, just like 98% correlation, 99% correlation. So that's where we're at. I'm going to look how this settles right now, this little pullback, and obviously I'm just looking for a higher low to be put in, and then we balance, and ideally I want to see both the SPY and the SPX push to new all-time highs. Also, wouldn't mind at all if the Qs can push back to being in the green territory above 531.51. So tech on a just from yesterday's close to right now, lagging behind by a little bit. The SPY is leading the way higher. The Russell's break even, and then you have the Q slightly in the red. So I would love if by the end of the day, this thing could be pushing like 533. That would be awesome, but obviously time will tell. Now, speaking of the remainder of the day, later on today after the market closes, I will be posting an update video on both Rumble and YouTube. So make sure you not only subscribe, but turn on your notifications for that. We do that every single day, Monday to Friday, 9 to 11, live show. You see me trading right after the market closes. I film an update video of all the key things you need to know from that day and what to pay attention to for the next trading day. So make sure you are on the lookout for that. If you want to know how I am tracking this options flow, it's all via Spot Gamma. Pinned to the top of chat, you could get 80% off right now. They don't really do this fat deal very often. And in fact, we are the only community they are currently offering it for. So if you want to track the options flow the way I am throughout the day, making all these quote unquote miraculous call outs, there's nothing special to it. I'm literally looking at the options flow, and it's all thanks to Spot Gamma, 80% off, pinned to the top of chat in the description of the video. Folks, that's what I have for you. I have to go take care of a bunch of work today, so be safe. The market's looking strong, but there is some whipsaw to it. So please, please be careful and respect your risk. That's what I have for you now. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to pay attention to the update video coming out later this evening. I appreciate all the love. I appreciate all the good vibes, and obviously very helpful or very thankful for the Trump pump we were able to catch today. That's what I have for you. Best of luck. Catch you in the next one. Peace.